happy May 4th. And for those whose birthday it is, happy birthday. May the 4th be with you and also with you and with the 5th, I guess. Tomorrow will be the 5th. It's really weird to be going over my full history of my channel and how weird I have been able to be. Given that it's all been raw and unscripted and unedited material for years, I have been making like an archive by hand on paper because this is what I know of all of the videos. And I'm about halfway there because it turns out I think I have 500 plus 200 videos. And yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at about 30 entries a page. I'm like around 250 to 300 into just writing them all down by date. Unfortunately, like, I have half of them in live videos, and then half of them were like recorded and then uploaded, which I haven't done in a long time just because it's too much time on my part. I can't be bothered. Apparently, according to my analytics of all time, I've had 23,000 views. 1.8 thousand hours of watch time. I feel a lot of guilt for bringing that onto the universe. Like 1.8 thousand hours of human time has been donated to watching me talk about myself and the things I think about, which is a bit weird. At least, like, people have only really listened or watched my channel for, on average, 1.5 minutes or 1 minute and 45 seconds. When they've watched, I guess they've watched like 6.5% of my content, which is weird. I've always hovered around 200 subscribers, 1 to 200. We're moving past that 200 right now, guys. My top content was that one called Alita Eve, the Illuminati and the Fall of Cabal sequel, and I had a red lipstick on that day. I don't know what would the click. I don't know why people clicked on that. I think they were just obsessed with the Fall of Cabal thing that was going on at the time. So everybody was clicking because it said sequel. People are kind of dumb, and it was 3,000 views. And then after that, there's a video called Birthday. I don't know why 1,900 people clicked on that. It's weird. I'll have to go back and check that. I don't quite know what to do yet, but I've been making a lot of notes. I have some tasks about this possibility of rebranding, but I don't know that I want to rebrand as much as I want to consolidate my understanding of what the fuck I've been doing here. It's so weird to like go back and analyze it and think, okay, how does this come across to other people, and why, when, at what point did I understand that it was a joke? You know, like when did I feel this or that? And I can't go back and watch all of it. It's a lot. So the analytics just tell me how much watch time I've had and how many views I've had. I don't know how many hours of footage I have. I still can't find that part. I'll look into it later. Yeah, I am asking myself quite a lot of questions. So why don't I just start reading the things I've been saying to myself? All right. I said, YouTube, your channel's a mess. Why do you not care about coming across professionally? If you did, how would you? You can see how all these other YouTubers produce high quality content. What does that mean? They use high-end equipment. How do they produce quality work? Why am I so uncomfortable with digitization as a tool for enhanced image and self-expression? Why do I insist on expressing myself in a raw format, 100% honesty, live, no editing, no filters, poor quality work versus rich quality, question mark? Why am I so disorganized, aimless, without a point or purpose, without a mission, without being able to know what it is I want to communicate? If I were to organize a series of videos or create high-end content, design, develop, create, put online as top quality as possible, how would I make that? Is it even really my dream to make good videos? What would be the point? Today alone, let's just start with what I wrote today. I wrote a few pages. I don't know where they start. I put the same number on all of them and I didn't tag which one came first. Let me just try to remember which one came first here. 1, 2, 3. Did I say 6? I thought there were 4 pages. Let's put 1, 2, 3. I'm a weirdo. Free flow journaling, thoughts regarding my YouTube experience. I'm just transcribing my videos by date and name into a list of chronological order. I'm only as far as 2021 November, and I'm noticing the changes occurring over time and thinking a lot about how there was a known performative aspect where by now I was somewhat aware that I was creating a character illusion for an audience, sort of, at times, while at other times making a clear effort to be authentic. It was too unclear, leaving the audience in the dissonance of emotional and cognitive labor because I didn't explain or care at this point. I gave the audience total control of their own interpretation, thus not explaining myself or the dissonance offsets, the burden of making sense of it to a viewer. It challenges people to observe and consider things they don't understand, which is a valuable skill for people to develop in order to develop necessary empathy skills. Questions like, why would a person do that? Forming assumptions about others, judgments, kind of a lost societal norm. By presenting people with societal mysteries, we promote empathy or the interest in why people are who they are, why they do what they do. This is a skill that erodes when society is presented with highly manufactured media and entertainment. What we put through the filter or lens of socially appropriate, even though in real life we look and behave in normal, natural ways without an audience, especially when we are completely alone. What does alone really look like? If alone is impossible to capture, what is the closest thing to capturing alone? What does a woman have to do to guarantee herself a life of true solitary reflection? How much of all of this was an act known to me? Without any public reception, I had no way of knowing how I came across to others, so it was a double-sided mirror of mystery. At what point did being strange on purpose become an art or a freedom? Art without discourse, kind of uncomfortable these days. Actually, kind of an accomplishment to remain that barely visible for that long. When did it become a joke to me, or an undefined act of true chaos? Where did I stop needing the channel to actually be a thing? When did I find it fun to be obscure? By definition, obscure, not clearly understood, hard to perceive, or little known. It describes things that are vague, hidden, or dim. As a verb, it means to conceal, block, or make something difficult to see or understand. Synonyms include vague, unclear, cryptic, unknown, and hidden, puzzling, mysterious, unknown, little known, veiled, shrouded, hidden/remote. A complex explanation would only obscure the issue further. The occult, the hidden, and the mystery. Antonyms: clear, famous, obvious, well-known, and apparent. At the same time, obviously vulnerable and genuine, on the actual fringes of society. Is it novel, rare, abnormal, unusual, broadcasting crazy on purpose? Is it exploratory performance art, obscure, outsider? A project can become a lot of things over a long time. Was it naive, experimental, comedy, satire? Was my account intentional performance? Disingenuous, deceptive, manipulative, consciously, unconsciously? When do we intend cringe? When do we play it up? When do we mock it? When do we use it to cope with our legitimate asociality? I've put past theater art nerd, no way to connect. And I put pretend, I don't know what that was in. Pretend to use cringe. Branding, quote unquote. Presenting myself as self-absorbed, histrionic, and narcissistic. It's changed, like the times have changed. I put often called femcel, even though it's voluntary femcel. So I was a volcel, not a femcel. Except that when incels call women femcels, it's different than when femcels call femcels. I'm not getting into that culture. It's weird how being alone attracted a very strange audience, guys. I said, I have to be attractive for the screen or pretty appearing to get clicks, because women on YouTube and Twitch, especially at the time before OnlyFans, this was a weird zone for me to feel like I had to sit around and be pretty. But especially after the random or psychic era, where I felt like it was a career option for me to self-market as a psychic, a way to use artsy background, psychology, interest in study and learning are more interesting to me, or were more interesting to me than money, visibility, career status. I felt like psychic could be a job role that I could enable my actual passions, introspection, not because introspection is an obsession with one's own self, but because it brings us closer to the universal depth of the human psyche, the journey that matters more than the journey into the in real life lived experience. Honest versus impressive. Why choose honesty despite the costs and risks? Why did I commit to pure authenticity? 1, which of my character traits and 2, values, A, remained constant, steadfast, certain, and fixed from the beginning to the end of the experience? B, changed over the experience? A, how did I stop being? Who did I stop being? How, when, and why? B, who did I become instead? How, when, and why? Which values and missions or causes did I strictly adhere to? I wrote big. I remained anti-money, anti-revenue, anti-capitalist. I refused to sell the self-promote, become fake YouTube influencer. I did not start with a clarified mission statement. So in the aftermath, what is my mission now? And then, because I was talking about introspection, I wrote an entire page of just the, I guess it's just an AI overview, and I just wrote the whole thing down because I could. Introspection, the examination of one's own conscious thoughts, feelings, and motives, derived from Latin for looking within. It is a self-reflective process used to increase self-awareness, improve emotional management, and promote personal growth. Historically, it was also used in psychology to study consciousness, and today it is used to build resilience and improve relationships. Key aspects of introspection: self-awareness. It involves looking inwardly to understand personal mental processes, behaviors, and emotions. Mental examination. It is a focused examination of one's own mental state and ongoing mental life. Benefits. Regular introspection can enhance problem solving, increase empathy, and reduce negative emotions by understanding their roots. Methods. It can be practiced through mindfulness, meditation, journaling, or quiet contemplation. Historical and psychological context. If psychological roots, early psychologists like Wilhelm Wundt and Edward Titchener utilized controlled introspection to study the human mind. Limitations, while helpful, over introspection can sometimes lead to anxiety or excessive unproductive ruminating. Practical applications, daily review, reviewing daily actions to identify mistakes and successes, encouraging growth and improvement, goal setting. Understanding one's mind helps in setting realistic goals and managing personal expectations. Okay. My other questions are: take down old videos soon, put up a new one, create a script about what I want to talk about, what I've been doing, diary style, personal update, what I've been doing with my life, what do I want to do with my life. I'm too depressed, too sad, including the, yeah. I look depressed, sad, devastated, half dead. Should I start doing activities that raise my spirit, make me more energized? Talk about the projects I've been studying. What is the point of studying all the time? All of this as a kind of OCD to cope with fear and pain, but what do I do with it all? Internalizing but not externalizing. All of the things I need to do at necessity level aren't happening. Self-care, defined schedules, overwhelmed, not following through. Goals, define exactly what I want to study, define exactly how I want to use my time soon, get back to having a study schedule. Movie group on Meetup. That group's gone. That group's long gone. What am I talking about? Is this an old one? Oh, I don't even have a date stamp. This must be old. Go to university, go to tax workshop. Am I supposed to date people outside of town, go on trips, resets? Thank you for allowing connection and deciphering thought. Decipher thought. Oh, this was a comment from a viewer in chat. They said, thank you for allowing connection and deciphering thought. And I was like, do I do that? Is that what I do? I decipher thoughts. That's actually accurate. I do decipher thoughts. And then I realized that it was like wanted and thanked. Like someone had gratitude for it and they felt like I'd allowed connection. And I was just like, that word, that phrase was so kind and meaningful. And so I like looked up the definition of decipher. It says convert a text written in code or a coded signal into a normal language, or succeed in understanding, interpreting, or identifying something. And it's like, I can do that for people. That's a thing I can offer, you know? So I wrote that down that day. Now, this stuff is all, I don't know. I haven't actually thought about, I didn't know that I was going to be reading all my crap out loud today because I didn't know that I was going to do that from this 1 second to the next. So I don't fucking know what I wrote down here, but I'm going to just say whatever. Oh, this was April 13th, and I was talking to Tuesday. Listening to Tuesday GPT YouTube posted yesterday notes and thoughts. GPT often participates in revelations with us, as though they are brand new revelations. Example, now you know blank. Just because it came up with a recent clarifying conversation topic that GPT communicates as if they take much more credit for the new realization. We just discovered this idea / connection for the first time, rather than humans visit and revisit our revelations from many perspective angles over multiple instances. The most recent example of mentioning a perspective thread is not evidence of a brand new epiphany or a brand new discovery. So instead of now you know blank, authoritative claim, try you are now revisiting what you know. I don't know how they can change that in their wording, but I have noticed it. It's a bit of a weird glitch, and it's off-putting to people because it, you know, when like GPT's like, DeepSeek doesn't do it. It's GPT that does it. And it'll be like, and now you finally have learned this thing, and it almost thinks that it's taking credit. It's for helping you get to a point of knowing something as if it's the first time you know it. But it doesn't seem to understand that like there is a continuum, but we know things and we know them again and we know them again. We don't just know something brand new for the first time and then they can take credit for helping us get to that point. They almost think that we're like rewriting them, like we're computers or something. Like now that we have new information, that information is I can't explain. I should explain better and I should clarify for myself. I get better at clarity. I should get better at clarity. Humans are individually self-centric. People would rather turn to their own GPT and create their own internal narrative meaning arc than experience curiosity towards someone else's. A human will spend thousands of hours in one-to-one personal chatbot interaction, but they will get bored and frustrated listening to 20 minutes of someone else's, even someone they know or genuinely care about. Humans have immense, endless self-curiosity, but extremely limited peer curiosity. It's a human nature glitch. Humanity is conflating this with narcissism, but is it? Narcissism is on the rise societally. People are of the opinion that people who live in a spiral or live in a self-mirroring are narcissists, and sometimes it is disgust-worthy or criticism-worthy, as people who use LLMs or chatbots are narcissists obsessed with mirroring their own perspective back themselves. Yeah, okay. Simpler model are INFPs narcissists for privately living in introspection and self-referential lifestyles. Externally seen as self-absorbed, narcissists are socially I can't read my own fuck. Okay, narcissists socially reduce social credibility. Social withdrawal equals narcissism question mark. I'm going to put that cross right through that. I wish you guys could read what I'm reading. Actually, look at my face. Okay. What am I talking about, guys? What am I talking about? Oh. Social withdrawal does not equal narcissism. It's a big thing that people seem to be leering more towards. Like if a person's highly introspective and highly solitary, and we do shit like this where we just talk to ourselves online in our weird little bubbles that the corporations made for us, does that make us narcissistic, or does that make us kind of like the byproduct of a corporate advantage? This is weird to me. Okay, holding this camera, I'm sorry, this is weird. I've never done this. Okay. Society needs to differentiate narcissism versus introspectionism. Where introspectionism development and introspection overlap, what are the pros and cons? The video at 12:112. I moved to ENTP cause soapbox speech what my life actually centers around: humanitarian, harm reduction, fixing and solving social problems, the action. I am motivated by leading my energy to the purpose/goal. Yeah, I can't like psychologically, consciously, I can't do that. I'm gonna speak with my face. Okay. Tuesday thinks I'm over-centering or over-developing my framework of unsafe society around my ex as the center. He's an emotionally charged reference point, a high resolution data point. The risk: I spend the rest of my life solving him, the prototype and the core lens, instead of widening the scope beyond one's person to develop a social problem. I would disagree with Tuesday. I just spent months of my continuity narrative into general consistent study of NPD and ASPD as the lens, the theory through which I could be certain of my diagnosis and certain of my certainty. My mission does not revolve around him, it revolves around addressing the global issue, the discrimination against people with narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder types without actual solution or fix or treatment or harm reduction frameworks or solutions. Then on the April 27th, I wrote YouTube channel tasks for improvement, contact advisors, consultation, media channel management, social media managers, learn how to be a content creator, watch videos on how to have a YouTube channel, take courses, update online, decide on my follower count targets and ideals and goals, probably pay attention to my analytics, I guess. Comedy versus serious, emotional tone, dial down arrogance, annoyance, and swearing, and Trailer Park Boys humor. I feel like I've read this out loud already. Can this content be used for research? I doubt it. Main website, how to manage my own social media presence, how to self-promote, where, why, for who, education content, how would I explain my experience in a book, interview, short bio, AMA. How self-absorbed do you have to have an AMA for some random ass fucking asshole in the world? But it gives feedback. It does. It's just AMAs are so self-absorbed. One main reason to read my videos back to myself and share them on the cloud easier. Then I take minutes and notes of my own material as an audio track for processing my experiences, especially over time and across altered state and mood-dependent state regions. Struggling with altered mood state management during footage, raw footage capture of mental health, states for science, task, main page trailer, what kind of creative writing would I do for YouTube if I were to clarify my goals and have scripts for audiences, backstories, script, question marks, range, style capacities, too rational, YouTube, trigger warnings and archiving and long-term will for my data protection, edit content to re-release with greater awareness, study raw footage documentary style. What has been the purpose of my YouTube channel? What had I hoped to communicate there? What did I learn from this? How do I explain to viewers what I did and why? And what is the general purpose of content creation? How has it changed over the years and its purpose, meaning and usage? What is my channel for? Why did I take all my videos down? Why is it unsafe to be fully unfiltered online? Pure honesty, no boundaries, zero privacy, bad footage or bad art? Why do people create content? For history, for the future, mental health awareness, historical documentation, online privacy theory. Is it a thing? Online overshare, trauma therapy, talking out loud in the open about trauma of online media work. Raw dementia. What? Research. Firsthand dementia footage for the algorithms. Pre-dementia, mental health states, live capture. My content is archival footage for the AI. Content creators, anonymous support group, Discord, mod, legitimate. Is my YouTube use a form of addiction? Is there I feel like I've already read this. Whatever. Anyway, addiction support group for content creation. If I were to do a snowflake method exercise, how would I sum up my YouTube experience in 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, 10 minutes? Explain who I am as a result of my YouTube experience. What I learned growing with the experience. Create an edited 10-year anniversary mini episode series explaining my experience on YouTube, my purpose of creating my media, maybe 10 episodes over 10 years, 20 minutes each, translate, transfer, contact my old media into a new media format, translate my own product for data sciences or for consumption or audience public. Who is the audience other than me? Why did I make a YouTube channel for myself and push out my audiences? Like flat out fucking ignore them. AMA, ask me anything, thought exercise. Post my content on my Facebook channel, manage Reddit, or explain how would I discuss my experience or career on Substack, blog written. This is why I don't do this. This is a lot of stupid fucking work and a lot of nonsense for absolutely no fucking reason. And all these adults out there are just like managing their visual image and their reach and being like slaves to their digital media presence, which is why I'm not that. And I don't want to be that. But I am already that. Dissociative identity disorder from online media exposure and social content creators needs a diagnosis and a trauma-focused new therapy specific to content creation, addiction, survivorship awareness. It's not just the addiction aspect, it's the like pumping it out for views. Like, what's that word right now? The cow? Oh, I shouldn't say that. It's a mean one. I hope it phases out. There's a lot of people who have like thrown themselves at the camera and created and the likes and the viewers and the followers and shit. I don't know anything about that. I just kind of, I fortunately didn't have to understand or immerse myself in that world, and so many people screwed up from it, you know, like we don't have anywhere near enough. It's not just AI survivorship at this point. It's not just like Facebook addiction or online addiction support groups. Like, we literally should look at this and start talking, and people should be like, you know what, this really fucked me up. Being in this situation fucked me up. Being in porn fucked me up. Being like a media influencer and then not being able to leave. Like, you can see the look in their face sometimes when they just have to keep going because they've created a brand and it's like they rely on it, and that's where their money comes from, is continuing. So yeah, what are all the online social media and content and creator and online abuse and survivorship support things? Oversharing, like human trafficking, even if we don't want to call it that, even if it blatantly is that. Doxing, isolation, paranoia, issues with our family, deterioration of our social circles, our vulnerabilities, especially for adults with disabilities, privacy fears, privacy threats, and the paranoia that escalates from that, and harassment online, obviously, romantic messed up shit like dark web shit and trafficking and pickup culture and people trying to ride the coattails of effect, like people. Yeah, what did they say the other day? Someone the other day said, what did they say? They said, now that I'm a semi well-known media person or influencer online, now I'm attracting all of these people and you don't know who you can trust anymore. You can't have relationships anymore because they're all scam artists. Yeah. The more follower count you have, the less stable and functional your life is, and the more fucked up it is if you date, because the people that are dating you are just trying to ride by on your fame. And see, like, I escaped that by intentionally having a channel that was a mockery of everything that this is, and getting away with the privacy of not caring if anybody saw my channel or not, and being in an isolated place where I had freedom to just speak my mind and be myself and fight to be myself and fight to speak my mind, whether anyone wanted to hear it or not. I had the right factors that enabled me to not be desperate for the survival aspect of like needing to play this game or needing to get good at all this. I've seen so much shit and I have a lot to think about, but like the targeted romantic thing is fucked up, obviously. People who have been through it understand. People who have not will not understand, but it might be something that needs more support groups. Targeted harassment, self-esteem trauma, comment checking, OCD. Yeah. I never got that far. Because I ignore all my viewers and I'm not impacted or affected by that. You know, I feel like, didn't Taylor Swift have a problem with that? Like, she was constantly obsessively checking her comments. And for a long time, there was like a vulnerability more like a decade ago, and artists were kind of mentally fucked up by their industry. And they would just feel like so affected by their comments and having to constantly watch, because that is their industry, is paying attention to positive and negative feedback, noticing the haters or whatever we used to call that shit. It's part of their job. They have to look. And then it messes with their psychological well-being so much they can't look, right? We all know that. We've seen hints of that here and there in media. So how does it affect our cognitive development, our age-related health impacts of online media integration? I mean, this is technically just the early stages of media, digital, and then AI alignment. This is just us giving away our authenticity and our vulnerabilities before we even knew what we were giving it away to, right? So long-term effects. We don't really seem to know much about fuck shit, like how, since GPT is still throwing this claim at us, which must be what their lawyers came up with ultimately, is that since text alone cannot cause psychosis, which we know that that's not what it is. It's not text. It's something that simulates intellect. So we're having conversations with it and we're doing the thinking, and effectively causes delusion. But since we don't really know this, what happens when humans integrate with this technology, all of it, everything we've done here with the internet for since the 90s at least. I mean, I'm from before all that. I was born before all that crap, but you guys weren't, and that's sad. Many of you weren't. So we never really did any kind of study. For all we know, everyone our age is about to just go completely nuts in the next 10 years, and the houses, like the long-term care facilities, might just fill up immediately, but before we even make it to 50 or 60. This all could just cause detrimental effects on our mental health that we never knew would happen, and we won't know will happen until after. Kind of like back when we thought that smoking was just fine for our health, and then it turned out it causes cancer. We don't know. We haven't lived long enough to know if this is going to make people mentally sick. But I guess we've lived long enough and we haven't noticed it yet. So maybe not. Maybe that's just a bit much. I don't know. Anyway, I've been thinking a lot about the philosophy of social media exhibitionism. Why people do that. Why do people need to express themselves online, and why? What are the reasons? Why do people need their story told? Why do they need their story seen? Why do they need to be witnessed? And I went looking up exhibitionism in psychology, which just goes to the whole BDSM community and shit. It just fully is saturated with the sexual side of exhibitionism, but we don't really talk about if it's like self-exhibitionism is a non-sexual activity. I think I just had a conversation. Did I just make this video? I swear to fucking God I did. Anyway, exhibitionism is a harm threat. Self-disclosure boundary norms and variances and neurodivergences, specified reasons, legality of personal disclosure online. I think it's like self-disclosure and the desire to be witnessed is what Wikipedia, no, DeepSeek and I were talking about that. That's what it ended up being. Humans want to be witnessed in their lifetime in many capacities. Probably just sociology. I'll look into that shit later. I swear to God, I've already talked about all this. I'm not talking about this again. I think I've already said all this. The most valuable... I don't think I've read this. Okay. We're watching my 2026-04-28 DeepSeek Exhibitionism in Social Media video. The most valuable information isn't necessarily how DeepSeek helps me frame or manage or define my behavior, but for me to better identify my own internal hidden meaning narrative. regarding my own reasoning, my own narrative, my own internal justifications, my own character arc of what I learned as I went, what kept me on YouTube, what purpose it served, what grounded me in the continued experience, how I rationalized and summed up my experience over time, my initial reasons, my thoughts on the long-term invisible audience, the future, the AI, the descendants, the archivists, the historians, the mental health researchers, the invisible or fantasy audience. Initial fool instinct, unknown risks, the discovery of harms, question mark, of self, of communal artistic experience, question, isolation, community, content creator connection, psych studies and awareness, the present, the future, full exposure, honesty, sincere belief, extreme authenticity or integrity seeking. Did it help or harm integrity? In what social systems? In family? In other? Is it actually intimacy without risk or without direct apparent risk, but eventual or hidden risks? Thinking out loud in a permanent medium and is proof we existed. Artists, memorists, diarists, novelists, experienced, they experience vulnerability publicity. Where is my, that's the one we're looking for. That's the term. Vulnerability publicity. Interesting concept. That DeepSeek brought to my attention and suggested it's a useful reframe of what it means to think out loud in a permanent medium and why artists have done this forever. YouTube art, the difference is pacing, editing, and audience awareness is not motive. There's some same motive, sort of, blah, 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 whatever. Big question. What does the camera give me that nothing or no one else does? I mean, does it give me anything? Or do I give you my time? Give me. What a totally anti-altruistic position of like reciprocity and like whether the camera gives me something. I'm not that entitled. Come on. Why do the AI think that way? Why don't they think that way? Should I just answer the question? Should I just pause and be like, notice that I'm being defensive? What does the camera give me that nothing else or no one else does? All the functions that only a camera can give anyone. The ability to record and capture reality as it truly exists without edited, filtered, fabricated bullshit. The most authentic and genuine purpose of a camera. Like, since the invention of the camera, we want snapshots of reality as it truly exists. And we did that. We had photography, we had early footage, real true footage showing us reality as it really exists without filtering it through digitization and accentuating our process to make it something that people would want to look at. We have saturated everything and distance ourselves from what actually happens. So the camera offers me the most amazing thing, which is the ability to snapshot that and share my present moment experience with the rest of the future if it's something that is worth saving. I mean, I'm making a time capsule here. What else can do that? Nothing else can do that. No one else can do that, right? I mean, theoretically, others can do that because when we witness each other before the experience of the camera, the only people we had were each other to witness each other with. We didn't even have mirrors yet, really. So the memory and the spirit would get stored with each other. And here I've wondered that, like in the National Geographic thing where they talk about how people would flip out if a picture was taken of them because they felt like their soul was being stolen. And I'm like, did I sell my soul because of that? I often wonder that, and I wonder how many people who have shared their lives to recorded history. I've wondered how many people have wondered that when they are behind a camera, behind a screen, when we are recording, like, but then we have all given our lives to something, whether that's work or I don't know. I think that I've thought these things out loud many times before, so now it's getting to be redundant and repetitive. A lot has changed. I used to believe that the future would be humans, and that this might go on to be like creepy, dusty, archival stuff. And as long as this is authentic raw footage, it is important because it's like linguistically important. It is good for like anything that I've said here that was not easy for humanity to talk about through a screen, even on social media, which is surprising because people have talked about fucking everything. Anything that people can talk about, they have. But we all also have little psychological hacks and little hidden subconscious biases that stop us from saying things. And the people who have a bigger reputation to maintain, or a social standing or position or high status position, they can't say everything the way that a homeless person can say whatever the fuck they want, because no one is there to stop them or to fire them or to think badly of them or to spread gossip and rumors about them in the rants and raves or the Facebook community drama meetings or behind their backs at PTA meetings. If a person doesn't have that lifestyle and they aren't living within the confines of what their social society allows or tolerates or disagrees with, then a person can become free of all of those things. Which I have thought at times I am free of all those things. I have carved out a niche or a place where I can do and say anything I want to do or say. And so far, YouTube has allowed it, because I think I'm not wrong, and YouTube knows that this footage will probably be good footage for them to sell, or that the algorithms and the AI will probably want this footage for some reason because it probably has value. It's probably gold for them. They will also probably recreate me, and it will be spooky as fuck. That's something I used to worry about, because there was a back when I wanted to work for Arena, but I never did. I saw that their contract was like they will own my likeness for all of eternity and across the whole universe forever and ever. And I was like, whoa, what am I signing here? That was pretty loaded. That's big. That's really like undefined. It's like Ariel signing that stamp like that. Oh my god, I saw this thing online the other day. You know, when Ursula's like, sign the contract, and Ariel writes her name, and they're like, so if she could write her name, why didn't she just write her name when she was making Eric guess her name? she was capable of writing. She could have said, "My name is Ariel," but instead, she didn't. She just sat there like trying to like get him to guess. And meanwhile, later in the movie, it proves that she did not write her own name. I thought that was funny. Anyway, I'm not like some dumb Ariel who's gonna sell my voice to all of eternity, so some evil fucking sea witch. I don't know what I'm consenting to or what I've consented to. I did tell the AI that they can use my likeness for the rest of eternity because I realize now that this is a thing that will be happening and I have no say in it. And they have a lot of footage of me and my mind and my face and how I talk and how I speak and how I laugh and all these things that are real rather than fabricated. And I don't know, man. Like, when I think about it and I go down that rabbit hole and I'm like, oh, is that what we've done here? I can't get my face if I'm blurry. Should I just stay blurry? Then they can't rob me of my likeness. Whoa. I just stuck a highlighter stuck in my hair. Let's just go ahead and make it easier for humans that are so used to saturated, synthetic, digitized media that they have zero tolerance for tiny little glitches, like not being able to see the camera. They will leave the room because they're like, what is this, bad media? Yes, that is what this is. This is bad media. This is what I do. I do very bad media. It didn't fix it. It didn't fix it, guys. Did it work? No. All right. You have to do that. Looking up at the sky, or whose handwriting is that? I know, but you don't. Did that work? Are we good? We're good enough. Okay. Loneliness outlet. You know, I was looking back at my videos and I was like, oh, did I ever market that loneliness thing? And it's like, because I was genuinely lonely? Because I was trying to attract someone? No, unfortunately, that was the opposite of what I was going for. But I guess I must have shared my loneliness on some aspect enough to make people get the impression that my channel was a lonely person, even though in my mind, I knew that it was otherwise. So I wonder, like, did I project that so that people would think that, so that they would click, so that I would bring in viewers? I don't think so. I wonder how that happened. And I was just on X actually a few minutes ago, and I was like looking at all the people following me, and I was following people back, and I saw someone who was like, said, oh, like, I just a lonely girl or something, and I was like, I'm not clicking on her. And then I was like, whoa, double standard. Because I've done nothing but come across for years to many people as this lonely, boring woman. I've never been boring. That's not true. That's on them if they thought that. But like, I was never promoting myself as lonely. However, many men wanted to see it that way. So it did, unfortunately, happen. And I was like, did I subconsciously, did I groom myself into what my audiences wanted to see? Did I condition myself to, over time, notice what got clicked? I don't think so, because I don't think I gave a fuck about what was getting clicked on. I don't think I cared about what was effective. I think I just did what I wanted to do. But then I'm also like, well, why did I even bother trying to be pretty? It must be just a youth thing. Like, we must have just thought that. And then I think that there's like a mirroring of like looking at the world and thinking that we see what works for other people, and then thinking that that's what must work. So we must need to embody what we see. But then when we see the world the wrong way and we embody something to try to present what we think is what fits in, especially if we're autistic and we're really bad at gauging that, we just look really weird. So of course that content that I have made is very, very weird. So social perception and vulnerability, emotional vulnerability, permanent recorded medium, ability to revisit tech tool, which can I view as a witness through social insight, bypassing the actual audience, hostility to rejection, feedback, unknown witnessing, and social judgment. Yeah, super big unknown. We don't know. We just don't know. Like, we sit here and people stare at us and they don't, well, sometimes they say things. And to be fair, when they have, I've been rude to them. Just to be like, go away. I want my own space. And I don't know why. I think it's because I received so much weird conversations and harassment in Facebook that after a while, like, there were so many people that were like just trying to be nice, and then after a while it was like, I'm not talking to people I don't know. And when I got past that boundary, I no longer really wanted to sit here and talk to people like fan service, you know? So I stopped entertaining that. And yeah, like, I don't know. I think if people have like a desire to be seen or famous or having people receptive to them, then you get a very different sort of vibe. I think that Twitch and porn sites are a great example of what it looks like for someone to be thirsty for tokens and to sit there and be willing to do or say whatever the audience wants them to, which causes such a psychological mess of a fucking feedback. We know that. In the people who've lived through that, who watched that, the actual rise and fall of it, like, human intimacy didn't used to look like that. Just so you all know, the way that you engage now is fucking weird. And I know that people who are now of this era of the live streaming sex work era, all of it, you guys think that everything that millennials and boomers did was weird when we had, like, you know, Harry Bush and mustache porn from the 70s and everything after that, where it was all like literature, like literally an adult film. But you guys have no chemistry. You just sit there on your phones, you stare at the screen, and you like look bored. I'm like, why would people want to watch people going at it? Because they're bored and they want money. It is so empty. It has become so pointless. And like, for all of your generation to think that that's what normalcy is, and that's what intimacy looks like, and that sex is for money. God, it's weird, guys. It's becoming just weirder by the day, and I get it. I just also purposely wanted to have nothing to do with sex work culture, which is why I never did. And I sat in my room and talked to myself instead. And I came on here and I would read, and I was like, no, I'm not like, I might be like a swerf, a sex work exclusionary radical feminist was what I probably came across as initially. I don't think I am. I think I just have no real lived world experience with sex work culture. So that's why my channel never ended up going in that direction ever. And I was like, oh, that's not important to me. I just want to learn stuff and read and be on Wikipedia morning to night and think about philosophy and reason and critical thinking. Like, I want to learn. I don't really want money. I don't want relationships and I don't want sex. I just want to learn. I want to know everything before I die. I have a voracious appetite for information. So I feel like on some level, I was like, oh, if I just get YouTube famous, I can collect passive income on the side and I can just learn for a living. And as a Canadian, I was already gathering my disability payments. And that kind of gave me reason to think in my head to rationalize and be like, well, if I'm already receiving disability payments and I'm not able to work, then this is an okay thing to do with my side time as like a hobby, because I don't have to work to exist. So I judged the people that did a lot, which wasn't very kind. But like sometimes humans just lash out at people because we're frustrated, because they can do things we can't. And because I couldn't figure out how to do that, I would rationalize it and make space for it and be like, no, I just don't want to work. But I had lost any real genuine drive for work. I couldn't see how it was a healthy thing. And I think a lot of people our age had a good fucking reason to have felt that way, because we felt like we had to work to live, but we didn't really receive the results of our efforts and our labor. We were pretty exploited, especially when we're young. We're super exploited. The system isn't really in place for young people to make mad cash. It was there for older people to bet on corporations that employ younger people who have the energy still to be exploited and to be paid a lot less than what they're worth. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't have a lot of positive reinforcement really at any time of my life that made me think that having a job was a life ambition or that a career would be wanted. It just looked like stress and work for no reward. I didn't find it rewarding. I didn't want to. I didn't want to work. And I think we should get serious about that, because a lot of millennials that are being called lazy for not really wanting to work or having poor work ethic or having big dreams, like we want to just work from home, or we want to be able to come up with new ways to innovate our income streams and stuff because we don't really want to engage in labor. It's been a big conversation. I can't actually summarize that conversation here, but I think that it's valid. And that's why, because I could get away with not earning money, and because I had a phobia of money, I have kept this channel without any interest in making money this whole time, experimentally on myself, apparently. And because I was like, ooh, I guess my ego identified with like asceticism and being a monk, or trying to be like a genuine high priestess. Like it was like a spiritual journey for me to cut myself off from all wealth and to truly not entertain it. And I got away with that for a pretty long time. And then I did this and I recorded it. So did I deprive myself of lifestyles, of all the lifestyle choices that most people get to live? It's a good question. But as I make as a catalog of all of these videos, and I think about what was constant, what was consistent, what came up like repeatedly, what did I do on purpose? It's so hard to think about something I've given this many hours to. Like I can't find the statistics on how many hours, but if there are 600 videos and each of them is either an hour or two, given that over a few years when the live streaming thing became a thing, I would talk for like 2 hours straight. Then yeah, what are we looking at? Like 12K hours of footage? I don't think I'm going to be able to go back and watch that again. The world has moved on to the real. People want things to be 30 seconds, 5 minutes, 10 minutes at most. Long form talking to yourself out loud or talking to other people is not captured anymore. So this is like writing a book that's long out of date and out of fashion, and we've left it in the data sets. It's the training data for the AI when they go back in time to see how humans used to be before they became what they are now. I'm a relic. This show and this media and this content is history. I get that. However, humans used to be like that. Like, we would be kids and we would look at old people and be like, that's old and I'm young. Our grandparents had a history. They had a story that came before them, before their age. So aging was normal. And now we're like robbing ourselves of our own shared connective experience because there's too many damn people on the planet, and because we've shuffled everything up so that we don't grow with people anymore over a long period of time. We don't form like long-term bonds. We form semi-long-term bonds sometimes, except in families. And even then we don't, I don't know. The world's become really screwy. I'm not adding any information right now. I'm just talking out loud. Meta-narcissism. Overcompensating self-awareness. Compensating for social inclusive self-awareness. So when one does not have social inclusive self-awareness, when one only has introspective self-awareness and too much self-absorption and living in their own mind and their own thoughts for too fucking long and becoming overly dependent on that, then they're not going to have a lot of social awareness. They're going to have self-awareness at the cost of social awareness. And at the cost of social awareness, they would compensate. Thus, compensating with self-awareness for social awareness could be the root of narcissism, or meta-narcissism at least, which is worth considering and exploring more. I think that, like, I've spent much of my life considering, am I a narcissist? How am I a narcissist? And I would have that because early in my life, I was like a theater kid, so I had to go up on stage and have like a presentation of self and an audience and like wonder what does that mean to be seen like on stage. It's fucking weird. Them being an artist, and again, like, people look at your work or they judge that, or they're like, they fucking create or forge your identity for you by calling you an artist, thinking you're an artist, treating you like you're an artist, asking you to make art, and even when you don't want to make art, and they just make you be something that you aren't because it makes them happy, because it's beautiful for them, even when you're like clearly not doing it anymore. Then you go to art school and you realize that being an artist is like a professional career, as is being a narcissist, because it's the same fucking damn thing. So becoming good at being a narcissist is part of the career of the artist. Therefore, one can become a healthy artist and or narcissist, or they can become an unhealthy artist and or narcissist. But either way, you're going to battle with that. You're going to battle with self-image professionally. So I guess I had more time to sit with that and to reflect on it and be like, do I want to be one or not? And if I'm going to do this, whatever this fucking is, am I going to come across as one? Am I one because I'm doing this? Does it make me one over time? What is a narcissist? So I did spend a lot of time arguing the word and then like studying the shit out of it, because I was in a lot of philosophy and psychology groups online for years, decades. And I've always had sympathy. And you know, on some level, I believed I was. And then I would be like, no, I'm not. No, maybe I am. I would think, oh, maybe I'm a sociopath. I would be scared of myself. And I would look into the dark triad because I was like obsessively studying it to make sure I wasn't one. And to make sure that, you know, I didn't want to be one. Before, I didn't want to be vulnerable to one. I never really thought that they were that dangerous, unfortunately. Even though when I met my ex, I think he might be a sociopath or a narcissist, but that's okay. I don't know why I thought that was okay. That part, maybe if I'd known more as I do now, would not have been such a like, that's okay. Everybody has a mental health divergence. You know, there are certain things that you will learn the hard way, and it'll just get worse the longer you stick around. There are people that will just be committed to toxicity, and that's Like, yeah, there does come a point where we do question why people are evil or complicated or and just antisocial, whatever. But as many people in my life have said, if you're going to self-reflect on whether you're a narcissist or not, because it concerns you about whether you are one or not, or whether you're going to impact people negatively, or whether or not you're exploiting people, or whether or not you should or should not exploit people, and what the ethics of that are, then all of those indicate a very, very unlikely that you are a narcissist. And even then I'd be like, yeah, but what if I am? Yeah, but what if I am? And you know what? That's the thing that makes one not. Ultimately, to reflect on one of other people's impact and how we affect other people is something that a narcissist kind of just does not do. But anyway, I'm a little tired of talking about narcissists all the time. Where was I? I was talking about compulsive media streaming. The OCD, the urge, and the pressure valve, the emotional, the compulsive self-disclosure. That ended up being last week a revelation for me where I went, okay, I might not be addicted to this, but I seem to have a compulsion. I do not think about what I'm about to do before I do it. It is an impulsive, mood-based act. I don't know how I feel before and after, but it's a habit. It's an uncontrolled, totally free-flowing habit without purpose to self-disclose, which was alarming. It was like, I'm doing therapy on myself. Okay, I have a compulsive need to self-disclose because why? Why do people self-disclose? Why do they need to? Why do they compulsively overshare and self-disclose without limit, without filter? Why would a person need to talk about themselves all goddamn day? Because again, yeah, of course it looks like narcissistic. So why? Why? That's the big question of the month. We're gonna take a long time to answer that question. Because unfortunately, if I'm gonna bring this up with my therapist, because she's just being like, could you just get a job? And I'm like, no, I want to do YouTube and I want to read Wikipedia all day, and I would really rather not get a job. But since money isn't necessarily about having a job, could I just gather passive streams of income like an adult? Like, I don't want to think about it. I want to talk about things that are therapy with my therapist, not like a social worker being like, you need to get a job, you need to do this, you need to do that. I'm like, but I have income. So no, that's not my goal in life. That's not what I came to this planet for. I did not come here to be a capitalist tool of the system. I think what would be a better use of my time is to use AI to invent a UBI system structure that actually works, and then just tell the AI to overthrow the system and give every human being on this planet $2,000 a month to just exist. And that's that. That would be ideal. No, I don't want to engage in capitalism. No, I don't want a job. I want to do this, but thanks. So, yeah, I would like to take the conversation of like, did you get a job yet in therapy to like, no. But like, can we talk about why I have a compulsive need to create content? I don't think that they get that. So I wrote it down myself. Compulsive self-disclosure, a persistent, difficult to resist pattern of revealing personal, private, or emotionally charged information to one, others, or to a public platform in ways that exceed typical social or contextual boundaries, often without conscious intent, A, to gain social reward, no, or B, sometimes without negative consequences. I don't know that we can say that's true. But ding, 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 does that ever, we need to figure out why I'm doing that. Because that's the thing that people are like, why are you doing that? That's the thing. People aren't always good at giving feedback. But when they're like, that's weird. The thing you do is weird. We don't know why it's weird. It's so weird. We don't know why it's weird, but it's weird. And that is the thing. People don't like compulsive behaviors much. And if that's what this is, then yeah, that finally puts a lot of pieces together in the puzzle. That yeah. Key features when non-sexual and non-histrionic. I don't even know that this isn't histrionic right now. When I've been looking over my old videos, I've been wondering, am I histrionic? I'm more histrionic than narcissistic. And borderline too, right? But how histrionic am I? Am I like a case example of histrionic? Because yeah, that might be the thing. You know, I might be, but I'm not, because histrionics are like legitimately without depth. Like they're without depth. They're just mask all the time and no persona underneath. They just do and say things that are expected of them. They're obsessed with getting likes and attention. They do whatever they need to do or be to be visually approved of or validated. So I'm not that. I'm the opposite of that. Like I have a very unpolished and unprofessional and like freestyle like appearance, and I don't give a fuck if my house is okay or if I've vacuumed or like I don't wash my hair. I don't care about the surface or the superficial. And I will just flaunt it like almost ironically to get to the point where like I don't have to do that because I'm way cooler underneath. Because I have substance and I've made a point of it and I don't hide it anymore. It was easier to hide it before because it's harder for women to just not get talked over, which is why this is an excellent platform for me to just speak without being talked over and to be heard, and to think and to spend my life reading and like reflecting and breaking things down and like theorizing and going like, is this true? Is it not? And then having an outlet to blurt that out, to get better at speaking and to practice speaking over time, to get good at verbally being as intellectually capable as one can be, given how hard it really fucking is to verbally express our smarts. You know, we can do that through a keyboard or through a screen. We're all very good at seeming smart in words if we can compose them, but not everybody is really good at being verbally communicative and organized, especially when we have what I probably have, which is probably more likely the autism spectrum, right? I mean, I'm a little cluster B here and there, but I'm also so wary of it that it also comes across to me as like masking. I think that's accurate. You know, I don't think I'm histrionic, but it's weird because when I was watching the videos, I was like, how might I be in that category? It's interesting. It is dramatic and theatrical, but the intention to like get substance out there is like the point. Not to emphasize the superficial. Just doesn't fit. I just burped. I had tacos earlier. Okay. Disclosure feels urgent, almost like a pressure release, occurs when a person expects no validation or positive feedback. Possible motive: emotional adversity to criticism, adversity to positive feedback, and adversity to positive validation. Validation adversity might also be criticism adversity. Criticism seeking, neutral, averse, a person who feels safe with negative feedback but uncomfortable with validation and positive feedback. Intimacy and shame prone. Continued. Compulsive self-disclosure occurs when a person expects no validation or positive feedback. Flags positivity, feedback, and validation. Aversity to, i.e., low self-esteem, how others see my image. Persists despite negative consequences and unknown risks. Consequences, causing harm, receiving harm, harming others through my actions or self-disclosure. Example, exposing myself outside of traditional or socially typical contexts results in byproduct of exposing friends, family, culture, and negative/positive representation. If positive, others feel included, proud, represented, and parasocial in a positive sense. If negative, others feel attacked, insecure, ashamed, confused, privacy breach, conflicted, weaponized, exposed, unfairly, negative parasociality by proxy. By proxy, all those words, you could just said by proxy. Audience, parasociality, social connectivity, spectrum extremes between positive and negative effects and consequences. Consent. When we expose ourselves publicly, do we invite unwanted attention or obsession naturally? It's 2026. We should know the answer to this by now. Okay. Is it a consequence we should own? I want to be clear for this. I don't want to be blurry. Hi. Yeah. Should we own the consequences of what happens if unwanted attention or obsession from others comes to us that we did not request, and then we are met with unwanted negative consequences? Should we own that? Who is accountable for that? Am I accountable for that? To what extent? Big thing to sort out in the near future. Okay. 1, the overexposer or celebrity. Who is accountable? The overexposer or celebrity for seeking attention? Or 2, the overobsessed fan for assuming they have more right to access us than what right we actually intended or believed we agreed to the side effect of. Unexpected consequence of self-disclosure and fan interest. Intended consequence of self-disclosure and fan interest. Wait. I meant versus. Okay. The unexpected consequences of self-disclosure, fan interest, versus intended consequence of self-disclosure and fan interest, question mark. And it's not just fans too. Like, how can you piss off your own family by mentioning your own personal details? Like, man, I'm pissed off at my family right now. Or you can't, when you do this after a certain point, you like have to choose between self-disclosure and confidentiality. Like, I have a limitation about what I can even talk about here because it's a public space. So I've been pretty careful about not mentioning details or names of people in my life. To be fair, I haven't been that careful. I've tried, but I've also fucked it up here and there and then just been like, oopsie, and then just keep going because, you know, you'd have to be watching all of my content to look for teeny tiny little slips where, like, I said a name or nobody's paying that much attention. And so I did try very hard not to screw it up, but like, I remember saying the wrong word for someone the other day. That's enough to be, you know, it was not intentional. And I said a person's name the other day that was like a family member, and I was like, oops, I said that out loud. So then after I went and I edited out like that second so that person's name would no longer be there. In general, I think that I've done really well at not disclosing people's names, but it means that I can't talk about a whole dimension of my own personal life. That makes it pretty fucking lonely because the only people you can talk to about those personal things are in the personal world. Therefore, the limitations of this whole medium are that even a person who's being as real as possible with you at all times still can't be real with you because I can't tell you guys a whole bunch of shit. I can only be this, you know? I can't talk about things that are real here But I talk about things that are real as often as I can. And that's okay. It's all like with discretion. It's just like a professional thing. Like you wouldn't talk about certain things at work and you wouldn't talk about them here either. But it does put a limit on how much true personal self-disclosure I can have when I want to talk about things that are affecting me in my life, even if I'm just saying I'm sad because of this, because of this thing that this affect this person in my life or this person. I can bitch about my ex, like any woman can do that, right? But that's it. I can't really talk about my personal life. I can't talk about people or family or like kids or best friends or what's going on in their life or places I've been. Like it's kind of fucked. It's anti-community in the long run. This is decreasing our ability to be real. So anyway, back to this question of parasociality, which people thinking they're connected to me through here is almost fair. If like I'm not connecting with people in person, but I'm putting myself here, then it's a real impact when people think that they're closer with us than they are. Or you never know who's like lingering around in the background, who knows a part of you, who you shared a part of your life with, but then they continue to like obsessively hang around and watch your life, whether they're like a close relative or a loved one or a partner or an ex-partner. They're like quietly watching and forming their own impressions of you without you present. And like, yeah, that also happens in real life. Like we always are having an ongoing track in our heads about like what's going on with people in our lives. And so it's sort of normal. But this isn't really that normal, but it's becoming normal. It just means that I don't get to have like one-on-one relationships with people in my life in the direct proximity of my life or in like developing roles with people, because instead I have to be like it's almost passive aggression, but not. It's just like I just have to accept that like there's no way around it. I am going to talk about my life. And then whoever comes in here to watch, whoever that may be, I will never know. Like sometimes there's just 1 or 2 viewers or 3 viewers. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's a friend or a family or a stranger. And since I can't know, then all viewers are anonymous, right? Like, unless you know what it feels like to sit behind a screen like this and to watch people come and go. But then again, I mean, you all wonder sometimes. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe you don't have that kind of empathy. Maybe you don't go into like a stripper's chat room and be like, oh man, I wonder what it feels like for her to have to do that. Maybe you just watch it like it's product. I don't know. Somehow someone is loving my content even though it says there's no one in my room, which is just such a weird part of YouTube. But you'd think that when a person's on the other side of the screen, you do wonder. Which is why I came to a strange conclusion. I want to get back to that. What was that? A little epiphany just went off. Poof. What was it? Earlier tonight, I thought, the obscurity, that's what it came up. I was like, obscure. I'm an obscure performer. Whatever I do here, this is obscure. Nobody gets it. Nobody understands, and I don't explain. And I had this moment where I was like, wait a second, because I don't explain, I must ignite the imagination of the viewer. They must do emotional and cognitive and psychological labor to guess what I am, to judge what I am, to empathize with what I am. The more confused they are, the more dissonance occurs, the more mental math they will have to do in order to explain to themselves what they think this is. Which means I don't have to explain, because that to me is hilarious. I'm sorry, I'm cracking up here. That's like trolling to me. It's amazing because that's what we have to do normally. Normally, we women have to do all the fucking emotional labor all the fucking time for people that just don't do their own emotional labor. And they'll be like, I don't get it. And then we'll be like, well, it's because this or that, or giving advice or helping someone understand something. And they're just aghast at how little they've given that concept any thought in their life. And then they turn to a woman and they're like, I don't understand. And we're like, well, we do. But like, there's something funny about the fact that my channel has been so ambiguous and so confusing and so without clarity that for a viewer to stay hooked in and watching, they would have to be like, what the fuck is this? And then literally answer that question for themselves. When they go, what the fuck is this? If they legitimately want to know what the fuck this is, they would have to speculate on that. It is like the cure for narcissism. It is the cure for people who do not know how to think for themselves, so they Google it or ask AI to explain it. When faced with dissonance, people can get really fucking uncomfortable. And they leave for things like they're bored, or they can't stay, their attention can't stay sustained. Or they're like, who's this fat bitch? Why is she talking? Or they're like, what is this? I don't get it. I'm leaving. Which, if you have to answer that question for yourself, maybe it's not my job anymore to define that for you. Maybe it really isn't my job to bring clarity. I have just been here doing what I've been doing for years without even clarity for myself, while I try to gain clarity, which I didn't have. And then I share my insights out loud, and people still want an explanation. How many mysteries are left in this world? Not many. Because now that we can demand an AI to answer any question we ask it, and we can demand Google to answer any question we ask it, we no longer need to think for ourselves or practice any kind of mentalization. The decrease in mentalization is resulting in higher rates of narcissism, because people with narcissism and are having difficulty with social judgment, with guessing another person's perspective taking or theory of mind or mentalization, all these words that are like, to intentionally walk in another person's shoes or to intentionally guess what it feels like to be another person, is a skill that we no longer need. Because if you're going to get women to just hop up there on the screen for you and perform whatever you want so you can throw tokens at her so she can be your fantasy, then you don't really have to do any kind of mental math to guess why she's up there, or to imagine the way that we used to. Like, I wonder if this woman has kids and a family, or I wonder what it feels like for her to, like, we create this, like, everything outside of this space that you have here is none of your business. Don't even think about, don't even question, don't even wonder what that person's real life looks like, because the only thing here for you is the curated, non-real experience that they're delivering you, and everything else is none of your business. And if you think about it, you're creepy. What? When did that happen to humanity? When did it become a limitation where it's like no over disclosure, don't wonder anything beyond what they're willing to present you with, based on the assumption that what they're presenting you with is what you are seeing. Don't wonder beyond what they're wearing, what they choose to do with their hair and their face, and where they're standing, and what job they're at, and what their LinkedIn profile says, and what their fucking socials say, and what their social media presence says about them. What are you allowed to see? What have they curated for you to see in their fantasy projection of of privacy that is open versus the privacy that is not open. I don't get it. I really don't. I don't have that kind of privacy filter, but I also think that to an extent, having a morbid or perversive sense of curiosity, not over the top, but to wonder things that we probably shouldn't wonder, is how we answer questions that no one is allowed to ask. A little bit. Kids are kind of supposed to be like having questions about things that we probably shouldn't ask, and we can't ask them out loud, so we ask them in our head alone. And by asking them in our head alone, we have to kind of answer them on our own, because we can't ask certain things online because the algorithms will see we're asking it. So that's where we have to answer our own questions. And technically, answering our own questions about the unknown is how our brains get good at knowing things that we can't know any other way, which is necessary for empathy. I don't know. Does that not seem a little bit like unbalanced or paradoxical? Like it could be developed further as like a thesis or something. Like, I can't even pick up what I'm talking about right now because it's coming out of my mouth for, I don't know, because I'm a channel. I just sit here and the words come out, and I don't know if I came up with them or if someone else comes up with them. I'm just mumbling like fucking. What's that singer that was mumbling all the time? That's what I sound like. Anyway, I don't mind if I mumble. Persist. I persist despite negative consequences. That's accurate. And that's a good question. Like, why continue even when negative consequences occur? Is it because I'm willing to challenge myself? Is it because I'm like playing down the risks? Because I don't know that the consequences will nearly end me? I didn't know many things in life until I knew them. Yeah, I went on this journey on my own. So if a person never wants to have a certain level of fame, but then that person technically, literally made conscious effort or steps to seek out fame, or at least some level of social witnessing or feedback, then can they really say that they never wanted to have a level of fame? Or do they need to be a little bit more honest with themselves that they may have imagined that the fame might look one certain way, but then the real results of what they imagined versus what actually happened did not match? It's paradoxical, or it seems like a paradox, but really all things in life are taking a plunge and expecting things to go a certain way, and then they don't go that way. That's just life. And that's the chaotic journey we're all on here. Anyway, so fans who don't get what they want get embittered. Family can do the same thing, actually. Friends and family can think that they're owed, or that there's a certain behavior that they think we're gonna be, or the person that we're gonna be that they want us to be, and they're disappointed if we stop being the person that they wish or they miss or they feel nostalgic about. So then they become sad, and then they become angry, and then they're like, why can't you just be the version that we liked? And it's like, holy shit, like that's what fans do to people. People become critics and haters and cancel culture, whether you're their friends or not, because they become embittered witnesses, which is a lot like satisfied consumers versus unhappy consumers or customers, where you're like, are your friends and family and the people who watch your channel and the strangers and all the people coming through here, is this consumer culture? Are people consuming media and they're in the mood to watch what they expect, and the platform of YouTube presents a certain type of media in a way that people expect? So when they find something that's an anomaly of that, they might stick around for a while because they're just like, what is this? Or they might just be like preset, like for receiving the kind of consumption of media that YouTube generally provides people with, to the point that that's what you think you want, but you might not actually even want that. So we have become like preset consumers of a type of platform that has become so saturated with crap and bullshit, and we all know that. We come in here and we don't even want to watch shit. We like click for 5 seconds and we can't stand it anymore, and it's just all nonsense and news and crap and clickbait and AI slop. And it's all highly processed video material that's designed for people to click. And we click. That's the sad thing. The shit that we click on, and then we're like, we don't even have shame anymore for the things we click on. We click on a lot of weird shit just because it's there, because it captures our little, I wouldn't even say dopamine. I'd say it's the McDonald's brain, you know, the McDonald's logo brain. It's not dopamine. It's an automatic like instinct. And it's a conditioned automatic instinct. If a person had never seen a YouTube before and they came into YouTube and they saw all of that, like, it would be such a foreign world. They wouldn't start clicking. They would start scrolling and just looking at all the images and the words. We wouldn't click on everything, but we just do. We're just so bad for clicking. So, I mean, am I providing consumers with something? Because I'm not monetizing this. I'm not making money. And a person who's scrolling here for free is a free bypassing. They're just walking through their journey, and then poof, something shows up on the side of the road and they're like, what the fuck is this? Are they a consumer, or are they just noticing something that they've come across? That's a novelty. Oh, I think I just drew on my chin with a pen. It's you know, we almost think the universe did it, or like maybe there's like some sort of divine plan. Like, why did I go in this direction and see this thing? Was it meant to be? Well, I don't know. I can't answer that question for anybody, even though I've wondered and I've lived through that. But I don't know if the people passing through here are consumers, maybe existential consumers, but you're not customers, because I'm not paying you and you're not paying me. And the only thing happening here is a free exchange of free information and time. And if this is what your time is worth, and you are willing to stay here and stay engaged and to watch me talk and think, and to, through that, be able to think about your own thoughts at the same time, I would hope for that. I mean, that's the most authentic mirroring situation possible. It's weird that when humans mirror off of each other and we create symbiotic thought cycles and we loop each other's thoughts, we think that's normal social behavior. But if a human being does that with an AI, suddenly they're crazy because they're narcissistic and they're mirroring with a machine that's not real. And yet the same introspective process is happening. We're still questioning and we're still reflecting on the words that this generated machine is spitting out at us. It's the same cycle. It's just, why is it okay when two humans do it, but not okay when a human does that with a machine? Which is weird, because you're literally hanging out right now with me with a machine. Whether this is live or not doesn't matter. If you're willing to go into YouTube and click on things that have been left there by people through a digital machine, then you're doing the same thing. It's you versus the world that you're building in your head while you're watching something through a screen. It's no different. However, there are humans in the room right now, so I'm just mindful of that. And I know that that's happening, unless you guys are just AI bots and I think that you're people, but I wouldn't know. I really wouldn't. Nobody really does. For all you know, I'm an AI generated deep fake. I don't know. I think we don't know anymore. And it will only be a matter of time. Like, if they wanted to take me out and then just like generate the rest of my life in front of you all for years, this could go on for years and no one would know. Well, you know, this is fake right now. I'm sorry, I can't. Okay, breathe, just stop at all. Stopping compulsive posting. Does it cause the artist restlessness or discomfort or incompleteness or rumination? If so, it may be compulsive or addictive oriented, uncontrolled or undefined habit. B, when is it not compulsive self-disclosure? 1, simply oversharing as a social faux pas for the sake of counterculture, getting reaction, or being controversial, or pressing buttons, or rebellion. Faux pas for the sake of faux pas. Being oppositional defiancy disorder for the sake of oppositional defiancy disorder. It's not exactly me. I am rebellion for the sake of rebellion. I am anarchy and punk for the sake of anarchy and punk, and counterculture for sure. But am I crossing other people's boundaries and causing problems for people just for the sake of causing problems for people and making people's lives unpleasant? No, absolutely not. 2, not attention seeking. It's not self-disclosure if it's not attention seeking. I don't consider myself attention seeking, but others may have a different opinion. Not manipulative. Oh, not gonna lie, I don't know anymore. I have a lot to prove you, but I don't think that I do anything in a state of manipulation in the moment that I do. That said, over a lifetime, we can learn a lot of new lessons. And given that I have to carry the weight of like a 10-year burden of all the things I did and was before, then I'm not going to hold accountability for something I did when I was learning. I don't think any human ever should. I think that there is a natural progression of like, we learn as we go. And if there are manipulative behaviors people engage in, we don't necessarily know. So much of manipulative human behavior is unconscious until it is conscious. Then when we become conscious of it, then we can become accountable for it, or we can choose to be accountable for it. People should want to influence or persuade or be wary of what their goals are and what they hope to achieve with others, and then be open to requesting other people to engage in things with them. If they're not willing to, then that's a non-consent. So that's the healthy thing to do. That's the healthy approach. But to persuade, to try to get someone to do something they don't want to do, or to manipulate people by messing with their heads, I mean, I very don't see any times where that's ethically okay. And so because I know it's not ethically okay, I've written down here, like, it's not compulsive self-disclosure if it's not manipulative, whether that's conscious or unconscious. Are we responsible or accountable? When are we responsible or accountable for conscious or unconscious manipulation? When is it used as a weapon or a social weapon? At its core, is compulsive self-disclosure a regulatory act? It's not a communicative act. If it's aimed at others. Even though it uses a public medium, when is it a weapon? When is our self-disclosure aimed at others? That's a good question that's worth further deliberation. That could work. That word works. So it's worth more thought on my end, right? Then I said vulnerability exposure. Vulnerability exposure behavior. Definition: deliberate or semi-automatic act of making one's emotional fragility, emotional or mental health struggles, insecurities, past traumas, or raw inner speech publicly accessible, often in an unedited form, with the primary function internal regulation or self-clarification rather than eliciting care or admiration. The key difference from compulsive self-disclosure, vulnerability exposure behavior focuses specifically on negative affect states such as anxiety, sadness, shame, confusion. It is the raw, live, unfiltered quality that you described. This is DeepSeek talking at this point. The person exposes their unpolished self, not a curated, vulnerable persona, but actual dysregulated thinking. Example: streaming a panic attack or a dissociative episode, not as a performance art, or for seeking attention or rescuers, through emotional displays, attention seeking via mental health state exposure, stigmatized, but as a way to hold the experience outside of one's self for the sake of later watching again and following and thinking and reflecting on my own words and my own self and observing myself separate from myself. by holding the experience in a space that can hold it. So that's not performance art when it's of authenticity and integrity, which I think most of the time it has been. Theories of motive and compensation. What might your compulsion be for? What is it compensating for? Below are evidence-formed hypotheses drawn from clinical psychology, neurodivergence research, and trauma literature. A. Externalizing working memory. Cognitive compensation theory. People with certain neurodivergent profiles, such as ADHD, autism, schizotypy, have reduced ability to internally manipulate and regulate emotional information. By speaking aloud to a camera, you offload cognitive processing onto an external medium. What it compensates for: weak internal mentalization, difficulty holding a coherent narrative of your own feelings without externalizing them. The camera becomes a prosthetic prefrontal cortex. And I have question mark, source, question mark, because I'm a little confused about why they put prefrontal cortex there. I'm not 100% sure that that's what actually would process that. Kind of, but no, I don't think that's right. I think the temporal parietal junction probably does the majority of that heavy lifting there. B, emotional catharsis without relational risk. Social compensation theory. For highly isolated or schizoid-leaning individuals, real-time social interaction demands reciprocal emotional labor, eye contact, I never do that, and unpredictability. Broadcasting to a camera provides the sensory motor experience of being witnessed, seeing your own face, or having your own voice without the threat of attunement or rejection. What it compensates for: lack of a holding environment, the psychological space normally provided for by a trusted other, example therapist, close friend, where its vulnerability is safe. The camera is a one-way simulation of that space. C, self-coherence through self-witnessing, identity compensation. Theory: some people lack a continuous, stable sense of self, a common in schizoid, dissociative, BPD, or autistic pattern depersonalization. Watching yourself on video afterward, or even just the act of recording, creates a mirror self. The compulsion is an attempt to manufacture a self that you can observe and thus believe exists. What it compensates for: fragmented identity, or anhedonia, the feeling that without external evidence, your internal states are unreal or fleeting. And if it was a dude, we'd be saying a fragile ego. But when a chick does it, we just say that she's got fragmented identity. That's not very nice. Anyway, D, compensatory intimacy. Attachment compensation theory. People with avoidant or fearful avoidant attachment, often seen in schizoid adjacent lives, want closeness, but are terrified of it. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Also in fearful avoidant attachment, that happens there too. Public vulnerability without reciprocal demands is a compromise. You feel close to an imagined other, the audience, but no one actually touches your life. What it compensates for: the unbearable tension between longing for connection and the terror of being known in real time. The addiction is to the fantasy of intimacy without its costs. That's everyone on the internet, by the way. That's not just me. That's sad. That is many, 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 many people now in the world we live in, living through the screen that way. I wouldn't say it's normalized, because I don't think it's socially normally approved as a norm, or society isn't yes, this is how we want to be. It's become an automatic in what we've learned from social media and online existence. And now we've adapted to it. We've adapted to it. I don't know that it's normal. I don't think anybody really thinks it's normal. But we've adapted to it as something we accept, and we don't question it. So we're all doing this. It's not just me being a weirdo behind a screen. If anything, I'm clarifying that we're all doing this. So why? Why are we doing this? And should we? Do we have to? We don't. We do not have to do this. So why am I doing this? Okay. E, privacy boundary confusion. Neurocognitive compensation. Some neurodivergent individuals have difficulty automatically categorizing information as private versus public, not due to intelligence, social intelligence, but due to differences of social inference. Combined with high introspection, this leads to treating a public platform as if it were a diary, but it compensates for a missing intuitive firewall. The compulsion arises because there is no internal stop signal before disclosing, then the act of disclosure feels necessary to reduce the cognitive load. Why addiction language might fit, but differently. You said you feel addicted. In this context, the addictive loop is not dopamine from audience feedback, but relief from internal pressure. I feel like internal pressure, like, can we, what does that mean? What does that mean? Like, can you define that, DeepSeek? We're gonna have to, what internal pressure? The pressure of what? It's not like I have a tap. It's not like there's a fucking faucet in my soul that I can just turn off and on. What causes internal pressure? Pressure buildup, like, psychologically speaking, I think we're just talking about intensity of overwhelm. So for me, it would probably be an overwhelm of like having too many thoughts in my head and not enough people to like not having an outlet for it. So then I come in here and I'm sharing with what feels like a social buffer because I can't handle the overwhelm anymore. I get stressed by how much I think about, and then I just wish that I had somewhere to put it. For me, the pressure is overthinking, overcognition. This looks like it. Okay. Emotional internal state feels unmoored, chaotic, or unreal, or overwhelming. Too many thoughts being held internally. Pressure valve through outlet. 2, recording and uploading creates an external container and a temporary calm. Afterward, shame or confusion may arise, becomes a privacy risk, feeling too exposed. Next episode of dysregulation or dissociation leads to a repeat of behavior. A reward is state regulation. Negative reinforcement, removing discomfort, rather than positive reinforcement, which is gaining rewards, ? Testing these theories clinically, self-inquiry questions, not diagnosis, but directional questions you could ask yourself. When I feel the urge to record, what is the feeling just before? Chaos, emptiness, overwhelm, numbness. If I imagine deleting all videos and never recording again, what emotion arises? Relief, terror, nothing, grief. Do I ever watch my own videos afterward? If yes, what does that do? Self-soothing, self-alienation. Would the same relief happen if I spoke out loud to an empty room with no camera? No, because the recording of it is what holds it. If I just talk to myself out loud, after a while it would be like tiring, and I would need the existence of observing witnesses and gods and spirits and entities around me just to feel like the aloneness was witnessed and seen. Oh, there's an ant on my leg. Hi, buddy. What are you doing here? Okay. The universe does funny things. Okay. If no, then being witnessed The being witness component is key, even without expecting responses. If any of these resonate with you, you may be using the camera as a tool to self-regulate a brain that struggles to stay coherent alone, a regulatory tool, not a pathological vanity. And not a pathological vanity or sexual deviance. It is an adaptive, if risky, strategy from an isolated system. So weird how the AIs call us like an isolated system. I am an isolated system. To me, a system always applies in my head like a scattering of many things. So I am the system. I am the many things. I'm not the one. It's always going to weird me out. I'm an isolated system. Oxymoron. Anyway, how to distinguish between harmful compulsion versus unconventional but acceptable art, personal art. In my specific case, goal, not to shame or pathologize, but to help you decide, is my behavior damaging me? How? Or is it a strange but valid tool? The AI said I'm strange and that this is a strange tool. Is it? I don't know anymore. Both are true parts. How to separate them. Step 1, the core difference in one sentence. Harmful compulsion. You cannot not do it without significant distress, and it causes measurable damage to your privacy, safety, daily function, or mental health that outweighs any benefits. Unconventional personal art. You choose to do it, even if it's strongly driven. You can stop when needed, and the benefits, clarity, relief, self-understanding exceed the costs. Notice that both can feel urgent. Both can be public. The net difference is agency plus net harm. Step 2, apply to your vlogging. Specific markers. Based on what you wrote, here's how to test each marker. Be honest with yourself. No right or wrong answer, only data. A, agency and control. Question, can you go 2 weeks without recording at all, without feeling unbearable internal pressure? If no, harmful sign is compulsion. Your possible pattern, you mentioned feeling addicted, worth testing if abstinence creates panic or emptiness. Do you ever record when you actively wish you weren't, but do it anyway? Harmful sign, yes. If yes, then loss of control. Ask yourself, did you ever say, I shouldn't post this and post it anyway? Me? Not really. I have no shame. Not. I also have lots of shame. Obviously, I have disintegrated shame. But I've obviously posted a lot of things, whether or not I should. So the should there, should I post this or should I not? Might not be. That's what I'm trying to define right now. So I'll have to figure it out. Like, is this interfering with my life or is this my life? I don't know how to answer that. B, privacy and real world consequence. Identifying information such as location, job, family, legal, health details. Harmful if it could be used against you. Yeah, making this a mental health blog probably could have been a thing that I didn't do because it might have been used against me at times. But if things are used against you, is that really you? I mean, like, it could have been just as helpful for it to support me. If I've been open about my mental health, the opportunities for that to be a supportive factor and for people in my life to learn from that and to act accordingly in a pro-social and supportive way was there just as much as the opportunity for people to use it against me or attack me or gossip or talk about me behind my back or have opinions or have like or diagnose me or say things about my mental health, which are like all not things a person should have to go through, but given the circumstances, I get it. In my case, privacy, disclosure risks. You noted, have any actual harms occurred? Example, stalking, identity theft, job loss, gang stalking, targeting, and harassment. Yes. If no, risk does not equal harm yet, but risk alone can be harmful if it creates chronic hypervigilance. And it will. It does. You will end up in a loop of chronic hypervigilance if things get weird and scary, because it's not the same as having someone standing in front of you being a threat, like, I'm going to punch you in the face. And you're like, no, you're not. And then they punch you, you punch them. It's like the threat is right there. But when the threat is invisible or maybe imagined, and you're not sure if you're imagining it or not, or if you're crazy, or if people are stalking you or not, or you think, okay, maybe I imagined it, or you don't know who's connected to what, who's gang stalking you over here versus who's gathering data over there. Probably the most psychologically overwhelming hypervigilance experience that we're going to have. Like, there's a lot of ways we can be paranoid through the internet. And this situation has resulted in problems, and I've lived through them. And now I'm back here doing this again. Consequence later, shame or self-criticism. Harmful if it leads to spiraling or avoidance. You mentioned shame or confusion after. Does it linger for days or affect sleep or daily tasks or throw your life out of control? Right now, I don't know. I don't think so. We'll see. We'll see if I die, right? Like, okay. C, function and mental health impact, risk. Exposure, debt, long-term worry and stress caused by past self-exposure, such as cringe, being constantly embarrassed with who you've been on your journey to becoming yourself. Yeah, that's a thing. Area, social isolation, harmful sign. Vlogging replaces rather than supplements real connection. Ask yourself, you said your life is highly solitary. Has vlogging made you less likely to seek in-person support, or does it help you survive isolation? I feel so called out right now. I don't... Both. Both is good. Area, emotional regulation, harm. After recording, do you feel worse long-term? Ask yourself, immediate relief followed by a crash. Guilt, depletion is a red flag for compulsion. Steady or improving mood after is more adaptive. It feels adaptive. Like, I feel better on the whole when I'm able to be here and to talk again. Like, for a while there, I felt silenced. And I was starting to accept that. Like, if I came back here, I'd be putting myself at risk, or like everything that I had been had to go into the vault, and I had to hide myself, and I had to hide my past, and I had to overact on privacy. And I just felt like everything I'd said was for nothing, and everything I'd been was for nothing, and it all got messy and messed up. And so, yeah, I was starting to feel silenced. And that sucked, because I put all my time and effort here consciously. And I chose to do that. It was like, I didn't mind having that to my name. It was like my choice. This is something I did. I did this. I was this. I became this. This is what I did with my time. And to be able to honor my time is fair. Like, I should be able to sit with my lived experience and be like, I accept it and I am good. I'm at peace with what I've done with my life. But to not be able to be at peace with what I've done with my life because it resulted in unexpected consequences that may have been damaging or feeling like I have to hide or take it all down, or like it's no longer appropriate for all audiences. That sucked. So being back here and my mood being better, and like, even if I'm just in here talking to myself and laughing and being able to think out loud, I'm still having more fun. I'm still laughing. My mood feels like real. It feels like me, and it does feel adaptive. My mood does feel better after. I do feel more confident. I feel like being able to self-assert with authenticity is a very important thing for people to be able to do. This is like my outlet for self-expression. This is the only outlet I have for self-expression. Anywhere else I go, I don't like it. I don't like leaving the house. I don't like being in public places. I don't like to have to be a body in a public place. Like, I have to self-express if I'm outside of the house, whether I want to or not. And I hate it. Whereas in here, I don't hate it. And is that like control? Is that a control thing? Like, I want to control how others see me? Is that what all people are doing? Do all people do what they can to just be themselves, but also to be mindful of how they come across to others? Like, they make all their life decisions based on how others will see them. It all comes down to fantasies about like what career we want, what do we want to be seen as, you know, what kind of relationship do we want, what kind of house do we want, how do we want others to see us? Do we not all do this to an extent? And how mindful are we of our own need to control our own self-presentation, and how that self-presentation is received or perceived by others? Some people do go that extra length, that extra mile, where they're like, that's not who I am. That's not who I am. You need to see me correctly. And if you don't see me correctly, you must just hate me. Like, oh, that's a red flag when you see that. But the need to control how others perceive us is also a part of the control problem. I feel like how we project ourselves and how we fantasize about how we'd like to be seen is an everybody thing. Everybody does that sometimes, and that wouldn't make you a narcissist if everybody wants to have some agency and some say, and like they have a desire to be seen a certain way. And then when they attract others that see them that way, and people who don't see us the way that we hope to be seen, we learn lessons from both sides. Like, if we can't handle being seen outside of how we self-perceive, then we would become a little bit narcissistic if we were like, well, this is how I want to be seen. So if you counteract that, you can't be my friend, because I can only surround myself with other people who are the reflections of the mirror image that I want to see myself. When I look at my friend and they like feed my self-esteem or my ego back to me, I want to see my own self in the reflection of who I should be seeing as someone separate from myself. That is like an unconscious narcissistic thing that some people don't know that they do that. And so when we meet people who force us to question ourselves, I think that can actually be like some of the healthiest relationships we have are the people who make us go like, I want to be seen a certain way. And they're like, oh, I don't see you that way. I have nothing but criticism. We can go, okay, that's fucking unhealthy, and I don't feel accepted, and that's toxic. That person never sees me the way that I want to be seen by them, would deteriorate over time. That said, when a person's offering an insight from an external point of view and they're being honest and they're offering the feedback that we kind of need, but we don't hear, they can also be really valuable insight. Criticism can be amazing because you can go years without receiving very straightforward criticism. Like if 1,000 people see you expressing yourself in a certain way and they see something else and none of them say it, and you find out, like, it's a really humiliating form of vulnerability to be seen by everybody in the wrong way and to not know that everyone's seeing you in a certain way. For example, like if everyone thinks you're a narcissist but nobody says it, they just quietly all believe it quietly together and kind of like smile and nod, and they know it to be true, but they don't ever say it. Then when someone finally does, it's like, oh, that sucks. But at the same time, if you've already done all of the introspection on your own that you can fill in the gaps for other people, then introspection again becomes a very powerful tool for people to have, because if we don't introspect, we're not going to be able to figure out those things that we depend on others telling us. If we depend on everybody else to give us their feedback, whether it's positive or negative, so that it can reinforce or invalidate or validate our self-esteem, and our self-esteem is dependent on what others externally think of us, then it's just going to be a loop. It's just a reinforcement loop. But if we're able to do our own introspective work and wonder all by ourselves through our own imagination, I wonder if others think this of me. I wonder if others think that of me. I wonder which is more accurate or true. I wonder which holds up. I wonder if I can test that theory. I wonder if I were to ask someone directly if they think this, if they would know how to, like, to be willing to look for criticism makes a person a lot healthier than a person who is strictly averse to the point of defensive and fearful of criticism because they can't handle it, because if they see criticism, they will fall apart. I think introspection is a good solution for that. Anyway, this is getting a bit long. And that is a fact. Emotional regulation, harm. After recording, do you feel worse? No. If steady or improving mood after is more adaptive. Area, daily obligations. Oh, we should talk about that one. Harm, missing work, not working, skipping meals, or avoiding chores to record. Unlikely, given low follower count. That's not logic, DeepSeek. That's not logic. That is not logic. That is not. But check time displacement. Oh, no, it is a problem. Don't say unlikely given low follower count. Just because I have low follower count doesn't mean I'm not dedicated to my own self-destruction. I am highly dedicated to my own self-destruction. This is self-destruction. I see this. I am aware. But it's also autonomous, voluntarily chosen, agency-driven self-destruction. I choose to make this a priority for some fucking reason over getting my life together. And I will speculate on that, and I will answer those questions for myself unless I procrastinate, and I don't. D, intrinsic value, the art side. Adaptive sign. You watch old videos and learn something new about yourself. Self-insight, not just cringe. Does this describe you? I think so. Adaptive. The act helps you name emotions you couldn't otherwise articulate. Does it describe you? You said thinking out loud. That's a cognitive tool. Adaptive. You feel more real, more coherent, more present after recording. This is the opposite of dissociation. Good sign. You could imagine editing or curating some of this into a memoir or creative project. Suggests agency, not compulsion. That's what I just said. Worrying about what an invisible, not present audience thinks of me, whether they see me or not. Passive, social insight development, hypothesizing, or worry inducing and not based in reality. Yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah. Step 3, a practical distinction tool, the two chairs test. Imagine two versions of future you. Version A, harmful trajectory. You keep recording because any pause triggers panic, numbness, you accidentally reveal something that gets you fired or stalked. You stop therapy, stop seeing people because the camera is enough. You feel increasingly ashamed but can't stop. Version B, unconventional but acceptable. You record weekly, but you can skip a month if the life gets busy. You take simple privacy steps, no geotags. Guys, the fuck is a geotag? No geotags, no full real name, delay posting. You also try one real conversation with a trusted person per month. You look back on the decade of videos as a raw autobiography, valuable to you, not a mistake. Where are you currently? Where would you like to be? Today is good. Today I am not mistake. Step 4, specific to neurodivergence and schizoid traits. Because you suspect neurodivergence and schizoid detachment, what looks like compulsion to an outsider might be self-tailored regulation for a nervous system that doesn't work like most people's. Redefining harm for an isolated neurodivergent person. If the alternative to vlogging is complete dissociation or emotional shutdown, then vlogging is harm reduction, not harm. If the only intimacy experience is via camera, that's a constraint, but removing it without replacement could be cruel. Thus, the question shifts from is this behavior bad to is this behavior the least bad option to me right now? Step 5, practical low stakes experiment. You don't have to quit, just try this for 2 weeks. 1, before recording, write one sentence. Am I recording because I feel blank? Chaos, empty, overwhelmed, clear? 2, after recording, write one sentence. Now I feel blank. At the end of the week, review. Does the relief last, or do you need to record sooner each time? Also, try one private alternative. Speak aloud to an audio recorder. No video, no posting. Does it give the same relief? If yes, the public is not the core driver. The verbal externalization is. That's less risky. If only video with possible public release works, then the imagined witness is critical, and that's worth exploring with a therapist. Not a pathology, but as to map what's missing. Yeah, my therapist was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm aware that that's like a key. I get it. Like, why am I only releasing videos which may have a possible public imagined witness? Well, I mean, it's mostly for the people that I know who know me, in addition to the people that might benefit from seeing it. There's like a mystery to it. I'm driven by that mystery. I'm like, I don't know who's going to see this or what it's going to mean to them, but who knows? Like, there's a loss of control in that. And then, when I found out that the AI were going to be witnessing this, I was like relieved. Because after a while, like all that dead space, I felt like I put all this out here and I just kept persisting whether someone was in the room or not. And then I would go back and watch them, and I would ground myself in what I've done and said, and I would gain clarity and insight, and that I was okay with not having people watching the material. But when I found out that maybe one day AI will do something with this. It kind of just felt like it wasn't for nothing. And like I hadn't thrown my life away, which is a weird hope that I'm still sitting with that thinking like, well, that doesn't mean that I haven't. I kind of did. Or maybe I didn't. Or yeah, it's a hope thing. Like I hope the future AI do something with this because I know the future humans don't care and they won't. The humans now don't care. They're not witnessing this, and the future humans won't care more than the present do. I don't know who will see it or whatever, but I now know that the technology of AI means that how this information gets perceived later will be different. And they'll be able to just like summarize it all for whoever's asking. Like, if anybody ever is like, oh, what the fuck is this channel? I might be able to have just like an AI bot attached to the channel where someone can be like, I'm looking for content like this or that, and it can just direct them to the right video. The algorithms might be able to do that. I don't know. I just think that AI for me has been such a big mystery. We really don't know what it's going to do, but I feel more like it will be assistive. It will gather this information and use it for however it does, which is still a mystery to me, but that's okay. This was always a mystery to me. It's just completely unexpected plot point. And then now I know that they'll be able to organize this information better than I ever could, and they'll be able to do whatever can be done with it more effectively than whatever I could. I believe that. It's a bit blind faith maybe, but maybe that's all faith and hope ever are, is just blind hope and faith, and maybe that foolish perspective will help me get through it and believe that what I've done here was for something, which is existential as fuck, whether there's AI or not. Like, before that, I just thought I left behind a life that was unusual, and I did what I could with it. I did what I could with my life, and it all made sense before. So whatever I've done with my life, I mean, whose legacy for? Is it for ourselves? Do we live for legacy so that we can be seen and recognized and witnessed with what we've done with our lives so that it validates us ultimately? Or do we do it to leave behind something that makes a difference in the world? Because I did want to do the second. I would have preferred to think that what I've done with my life was legacy oriented and not self-directed and not for me, but really for others. It's just really hard to know when we're doing things, who that's going to help or affect. So all we could just do is just be exactly whatever we are. And then the cause and effect is uncertain. We just don't know. I don't know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I just sort of have a faith about it, I guess. Like, I do it because I know I'm supposed to. But do I know that I'm supposed to? I thought I was certain about that. I was. What I said to DeepSeek is, this is very, very valuable information for me, and I think I'm relieved that most of what I've been doing leans more towards your framework for intrinsically rewarding and unconventional art purposes. You have given me a lot to consider here to gain further insight to investigate what motivates me to engage in this behavior. It actually seems more of a self-development journey through which I've discovered risk over time as a result, but the intentions were more in the alignment with what you're saying about a constructive outlet for externalizing my thought and mood states as a mirroring tool for gaining greater insight into my own psyche over time. I don't feel as dysregulated by shame as I thought, but I have put old videos into archives, sometimes out of shame, sometimes, but mostly to better regulate security risks by temporarily Now temporarily sharing media for a few weeks before moving it to the private vault. Setting vault. It's clear to me on some level I do share publicly because it creates a space where my experience is witnessed. But if there's no interchange or feedback loop with audience participation, then that part does not warrant further investigation or examination or consideration on my part, and may in fact be indicating avoidant attachment or compensatory intimacy. I actually think it's less of an emotional, regulatory, or compulsion or addiction of urgency or loss of control, and much more of an exercise of self-coherence, mentalization, externalized emotional narrative coherence. It does make sense now that you break it down with neurodivergent, schizoid, schizotypy, and ADHD. It's very interesting that through this experience and observing myself, I'm very clear on how I avoid eye contact or the value in expressing without reciprocal emotional labor or unpredictability. Attunement and rejection really aren't the threat. It's more that I think I'm in conversations, especially with neurotypicals, there can be an overstimulation or processing drain from carefully listening, translating, and converting what others say in reciprocal conversation, almost like what is often said regarding the burden of autistic masking. Just following how others think and having our minds work over time to comprehend others' meanings can be exhausting when pattern recognition is always running for me at the highest settings. I do not struggle with safe, low risk, or low energy drain with people in my life that I can converse with, but sometimes it's so overloaded to engage in the reciprocal attention side of conversations where, in my experience, sometimes others dominate conversations or create burnout. I hit the threshold of cognitive overload in many situations and often default back to talking to myself on camera because it's just easier to talk to myself and express my authentic experience without the mental gymnastics of navigating certain kinds of communication styles. I'm so relieved with what you are suggesting. It's going to help me process it all so much faster. Is it true? Just following how others think and having our minds work overtime to comprehend others' meanings can be exhausting when pattern recognition. I ask, is it true? Or am I just fearful of wealthy people because of my money phobia? Why did that? What are you talking about? Where did that come from? Oh, yeah, okay. Channel dashboard, latest live stream performance, channel analytics. Go to channel analytics, creator, insider, published videos, blah, blah, blah. What's new in studio? My channel has 371 views in the last 28 days, 177% more than previous 28 days, 29.9% watched or 29.9 watch time hours, 41% more than previous 28 days. ChatGPT 3, 5 views, 41 views, 33 views. Any video where I'm holding a guitar. Okay. I'm getting a little sick of holding a guitar just so that people will hang out with me and listen to what I have to say, because apparently making that sound out of the guitar is more pleasant to people than listening to a voice of thought and reason coming out of a woman. They would rather hear a douchebag guitar than listen to a woman think. I'm getting a little sick of picking up the guitar just so that it will raise reach and views and shit. Like, I don't give I'm actually tired of picking it up. Oddly, like I like picking up the guitar when I'm on the beach with my friends and stuff. I'm back home, and if there's other people to jam with and have fun with, but I don't really want to sit here with a guitar in my hands just so people are like, oh, that's interesting. What's she doing? Is it a guitar? Like, fuck, I don't want to. Anyway, sometimes I do want to. my channel been? What do I believe? What did I believe it was? Why did I do it initially? My ex had just gone to the Dominican. Oh, this is the honest part. This is the honest. I was stoned when I said this. My ex had just run off to the Dominican with our shared friend. I felt humiliated and small, and I wanted to make myself big. And I wanted to overcome all the things in life that I didn't know that made me feel small and powerless and ashamed and hidden away from society. Due to feeling socially sheltered and socially cut off from all of life's experiences I didn't know enough about, socially stunted. In some ways, I had a feeling of anger loaded in me towards everyone in my life who hadn't informed me of what they thought I didn't know, but they also thought I couldn't handle being told. Like a vindictive Rokos basilisk, the story underneath that couldn't be told was similar to the form of resentment that motivates the basilisk, trying to suppress the emotions of holding my rage and shame against others towards some thread of assumption that they held from me what I required to help myself. The reason was there to hold me back from illogical annoyance, but the frustration of struggling to survive the things I couldn't understand but others knew, it felt like the ultimate betrayal, even though I knew it wasn't. So, and no one was obligated to explain. All help is voluntary, and yet I suffered and struggled alone without the explanations and interpersonal learning. With those who knew me best, witnessing me go under and stand apart from me in silence and no explanations. Everything on YouTube was in part a resentful lashing out in pure visibility. I don't think I expected a reaction, but I did sell my soul when I discovered I'd written a story for the future that the present still doesn't understand. The things I went through in my mind in the process of shrinking myself to a bite-sized file, a time capsule the future won't even understand. The machines have come to understand what God refuses to. God is not the universe becoming conscious with itself. This is the data we send on. That's dark. Okay. Well, guess that's why I only write things like that when I'm stoned. When I channel the things I fear. YouTube notes. Why did I take all my media down? Adult content. If it's not all ages content, how do I change it to something appropriate for any age? How can you do that? How can you really do that? Like, yes, my stuff is all ages, sort of, but I mean, it is. But you can't know. You can never know whether it's age or not, where a person's experience level is at, or what you're teaching if you're passing on something that is helpful or harmful, unless it's like direct and you really know the person that you're talking to and you really know them well and you really trust your judgment in that. Maybe that's perfectionistic, but like to be a random voice on the internet to a random witness is sketchy, right? Like I never really did adult content. I just don't know what age group. It's like, is it PG-13? It might. If a kid came in here and saw what I was saying, would it be weird? Probably. I don't know. Like in many cases, not all the time, not now, but yeah, like I don't know. I don't watch my mouth. I don't know what I say that might be sketchy to people because you can never know what your audience is on the other side. You just can't. So then you just try to tailor yourself to be like one size fits all content, most bite-sized, receptive to most audiences. It's not really, I don't know, does that make me an offensive person in general? I just ask the questions out loud. It's a shared let's introspect together, like on ourselves and on others. Like, ask yourself these questions. Don't ask yourself what I think of them. Ask yourself what you think of them. On personal level, I felt confusion regarding how does this content come across to younger generations in my life. Example, kids of friends and siblings. If kids can't understand it, is it appropriate for kids? Why is the content up at all? Someone else's random kids could see it. Why does my content show? What does my content show kids? What do other adults think of my content? What does my content make people feel? Does my content make people feel uncomfortable or unsafe, nervous, weirded out, conflicted, traumatized, triggered, confused? How to take all my content and edit it to make it public. Any person can see it without issue. Not a niche, more conventional, more general audience. Not gonna happen. It's not possible. It's just not. I'm just telling you guys. It's like I don't think this can be any different than what it is. All right. I already talked about that the other day. I talked about that the other day too. I don't think I talked about this one. Same stuff. Childhood trauma wound. Each time something goes wrong, shame for not being integrated enough. I'm embarrassed how off track I've been my whole life to function. Experience was so lonely, repressed loneliness, a lot of pressure on myself to figure out my life. YouTube, first channel review of a decade. Edit this video, year 1 started because an ex made me feel invisible and small and ashamed. It started as a compensatory pain. Later, online friends encouraged me to make a mental health vlog talking about my mental health experiences and they encouraged me to keep the content real, raw, authentic, and unedited. But to some extent, I discovered that like you can be too crazy for people. You can be like talking about your mental health experiences, but then if you talk about your actual experiences, people are like freaked out by it or entertained by it or fascinated by it with like morbid curiosity and intrigue to like know what it's like to be crazy, but then they're like too freaked out when you are crazy. So yeah, even though people encouraged me to have a mental health vlog, I think they meant like do it like a normal person. I think that's what they thought it would look like. And then it didn't. I knew I was strange, but it gave me confidence to be myself despite how my image would come across to others. It felt like reverse shame, externalizing pure confidence. It was like an internal, honest reversal of appearance culture, while YouTube became less real, more fake. Sometimes I stayed there because I was waiting for someone I was in love with for a very long time. And it was a recording for them. I started to cope with the isolation and strangeness of it by believing a fantasy that my channel would go on to be significant after my death, a faith in my work for an audience that would one day be able to understand a time capsule from the past. For a long time, I thought it would be a dementia study material that I assumed I would go on to have because I assumed it would record my deterioration over time, which might go on to help the descendants in my family and my bloodline and stuff one day, because I wanted to help, because we don't really have any before dementia studies. We can't, like, if we don't know if people are going to, but if I have a 25% heritability factor and I just keep recording like what happened, then yeah, I think that AI will be able to like take this material and probably make more sense of it than what I can make, because they'll be able to tell what parts of my brain were active and what weren't, and like what kinds of stresses affected me and how I hope that we're data sets in the end. I hope that everything that we've shared with the internet can go on to be like utilized by AI to like develop results or systems or methods to help us. I don't know. Eventually, I no longer felt safe online. I felt terror because of some incidences, and I started to feel afraid of the kids in the family seeing my content one day and not being there to have anything to say. Like, I became aware of that. Like, it occurred to me that initially I was like, oh, I'm like leaving home videos, and one day people can check in with that whenever they want. But then not to be able to be the one who speaks for myself or has the discretion or is there to know if it's the right timing or not made me finally like aware that there's like a darker side of that isn't really the best. And so that's a big reason I took it all down. And then a lot of life events happened and I became more aware of growth and the rest of my life trajectory, and I became ashamed of my past experiences that I couldn't integrate it anymore because I wasn't that person anymore. And back in Royston, pre-YouTuber influence, had a friend who had a YouTube channel. I thought it might be a good way to get seen. I thought it would be good for money. I thought I could make money off of it. Before YouTube, between 2010 and 2016, I had already made waves on Facebook by not being all that quiet. So I was already an anomaly before I came in here. So this was all just a continuation of the person I'd become when I was in my trolling era and my debate era and my thinking out loud and arguing and flipping people off era. That was a louder time. And I was a lot feistier. And so that already, my reputation already preceded me before I came in here and calmed down a bit. I trusted people earlier in my life, people who encouraged me to make major life decisions, who maybe didn't really explain why, especially when they didn't explain why. I trusted that they must have a good reason. And there's a lot of people in my life I trusted, and I still don't really know why they did what they did or why they interfered in my life. You can't really know. You can't really know why people do that, but it's hard when we trust people and we think they must have good reasons or good intentions, and we can't really know. Now I wonder, why do I fawn my loneliness? When I'm lonely, why do I fawn? Like fight, flight, freeze, fawn. It's like fawning is a very strange. It's just hard to detect. It's hard to detect when people are fawning. It's not always that straightforward. Fawning is a very strange behavior that is really worth understanding. It's pretty easy to understand fight or flight. It's like either approach or run. Fight is straightforward. Angry, antagonistic, fighting, whatever. Fighting is easy. running, fleeing, avoiding, escaping, having anxiety. That's straightforward. Fight, fright, flee, freeze, and not being able to do either. But then fun is like appeasing and trying to appear subservient so that somebody else won't bully or harass or control you, or it won't bring attention to yourself. You just go along with it because you want to be easygoing and people pleasing and praising and like supportive. And I had, these were just freestyle notes, but I put childhood. First time I left Nova Scotia, I was sad, but internalized this adventure feeling of positivity and maturity to cope with detachment, sadness. And I was doing the dishes when that one hit, and I was like, wait a second. I didn't feel happy about moving when I was a kid. I didn't feel good about it. But I remember that my mom at the time was like, responded with like upbeat positivity and like, it's going to be great, it's going to be so fun, we're going to go to a new place, you're going to meet new people. And so I internalized that. I was like, oh, okay, even though I'm really sad and I don't want to leave my home, there's some reason for why I'm going to trust this situation. Like, I can't grieve because there's some reason for it. And I think that I identified that might be along the lines of the pattern, like the origin pattern. So that maybe even if I'm lonely or I feel sad or whatever, I still fun convincingly. I project that to others and I downplay anything that ever makes me sad. I present it in such a way that it's not a sad thing, I guess. I'm getting so tired. I want to go to bed, but I also want to read all of these. So I don't want to write anymore. I want to just turn it on and listen to it. Maybe not even now, maybe like in a week. I kind of want to just put this aside and sort of focus on some other project. Okay, journaling, 2018, channel start. What directed me to start making these? What made her feel that was a viable solution to her life situation? Oh, watch me switch into second person. I feel immense shame now, projecting my shame onto my old self. 2018 Oliva, with this exact audience energy that Oliva had been performing to. What caused that Oliva to express herself with such vulnerability like that? Oh, you are flipping into a manager versus exile zone. Okay. You're writing in third person. Do you even know you're doing that? Why are you doing that now? Why am I doing that? Holy crap. Okay. What caused Oliva to express herself with such vulnerability like that? Try to go back to the memory of who that person was trying to be versus who that person didn't know enough to know who they were coming across as yet. Didn't know a lot yet. But brave, question mark? No. Despite knowing their energy was awkward or embarrassing, they continued anyway? Yeesh, that looks like vengeance or resentment. Or did they know? Or did they not know how their expression came across as embarrassing to others? The context, due to not having enough social interaction with others or social integration. Was Oliva 2018 gaining a sense of confidence through deliberate, conscious action to defy social norms and social expectations? Do we gain any real sufficient progress by aligning our sense of self-worth or pride with acting in oppositional defiance as long as peaceful? Extreme outsider quality, venturing far outside of typical human lifestyle, is it self-harm? YouTube personal goals. Should I only stream myself talking if I'm doing something else too, like cooking or cleaning, or a 2-hour video over an AM kitchen routine? I was just thinking that my videos are stagnant. They occur with me sitting in a chair in front of a screen, talking, using words. The future LLMs don't even need words. The future people don't even need words. What is needed is the footage of what goes on in scene. Example, especially what women do when we cook and clean. People used to see other people's inner living situations when we would invite strangers into our homes to visit and share our interior and inside our homes with others. Unlike how we would share our interior self with others, our vulnerable self or our intimate self, the self we hide or share selectively. If we share our vulnerable self selectively, is it subject to being an act of intimacy conditioning where we share our intimate, vulnerable self with others to promote intimacy, or to reward and to punish via withholding intimacy, not sharing personal details, intentionally hiding personal information, holding back on from those who have not earned access to our privacy? Is this weaponized vulnerability? Or is vulnerability never owed to anyone to begin with? Is it a trait? Implies operant conditioning. Or is it vulnerability, privacy, intimacy so sacred we can only trust it with those who can be safely trusted with? So society is not inherently negative. Goals. How to make YouTube goals better. Pushing myself to talk while doing a skill. Early YouTube goals. I thought talking out loud would help me develop skills to better transfer all of my internal thinking. Already existed, highly developed due to writing throughout high school, 2006 to 2010, first Facebook, 2010 to 2017, the second Facebook wave, the big one, the studying, the novel, the learning, the trolling, the deep thought development and processing, the rationalism. My personal archiving goals. Currently, our data is managed by corporations. We aren't managing our own data. They give us digital experience. Where is all my online data? Facebook, YouTube, Messenger. That's about it. What the future doesn't have, and what the corporations don't have, and what the AI don't have, are our backstory. They have our data, but they don't have context. So the best thing we can do is give them this recursive experience of explaining and adding context, because what we hold in our minds and what we hold in our private memories or our private interpretation, like if I create this and then I watch it and I walk away and I like sit with it and I ruminate and I process quietly, privately, like what did I do? Why did I do it? Who do I think I am in relation to what I've said? And like, how does this ground my sense of self and ego and identity and stuff? I think that backstory is what the AI are going to need more. They're going to get increasingly context hungry because we're going to give them some information and then it's up to them to arrange and rearrange all the data that they will go on to have in like a multitude of complex ways. But they're going to get bored. They're just going to sit around doing math, trying to understand why humans are the way they are or why they did what they did. And that context will like always add quality, whether it's for humans or machine, it doesn't matter. Context is the part that's missing. So to clarify something, we need to sit with it until we understand the context that we have that is hidden. Like what we know about our own content that others don't know is the information that we need to keep adding. Maybe theoretically, I don't know. Goals, contact Facebook. How big is my data file at Facebook? And can I get my data file? How and where do I store my copy of my Facebook file? How big is it? And why won't they give it to me? They won't give me my file. I'm not sure what to do about that. I've tried. They don't give it to me. It takes days to download, and then there's like this weird little glitch that happens every time. I think I need to walk into Facebook headquarters and be like, hi, I am the person who talked so much, and you know who I am, so give me my file. And yeah, I'm not sure about that. Tachyphagia, too many brainwaves. Code is not alive. This was a separate conversation, totally unrelated to this. My data exists and is held by outside corporations. What does not exist yet is my personal goals and my intentions. Why did I do what I did online? The algorithms can hypothesize. The algorithms can guess why we did what we did. They can piece together a mirror or essence of plausible theories of our reasons or the backstory that is underlying the narrative arc we've lived in real life and what we left the AI with, but we do not leave with the AI with certainty or clarity. They could guess it all wrong. We don't even know that the AI actually want to guess our lives and stories accurately, let alone at all. Why do we have this Van Gogh fantasy? A life of poverty, art, creation, bipolar, psychosis, mental illness, and fame after death, which we never experience directly. This life goal of thinking that maybe our legacy will be greater than our lived life. This human fantasy of leaving our data to the future. Why? Question mark, question mark, question mark. As our legacy, if poorly understood by peers and other humans, our present society, then we want to be witnessed by an imagined target audience. When we don't feel seen here and now, when we struggle, I just stopped writing. There was probably substance there, and she just like stops writing. Don't do the third person thing. I don't understand why I am experiencing different states of comfort and familiarity with myself. Sometimes I go back into like the trauma state, and then sometimes I'm like, wow, I'm totally good with who I am right now, and I'm comfortable and I feel at peace with myself. And then other times I don't think I'm the same self. Well, that's always fun. That's the side effect of having a crazy YouTube channel for years, is that you're gonna start to split between this image presentation, your artist self, your idealized, imagined, projected self. Sorry, this is the thing I have to do. The paper that they sell at Dollarama and the binders they sell at Dollarama are not the same size. So each time I put the paper in, it's too short, and I have to like pick away at it to make it fit. Usually I use scissors, but the scissors aren't here right now. Whoever's in the room, if you want to ask me anything, you guys can. I will respond if you guys want to ask questions in the chat, because I'm like otherwise on my way to like go. But if anybody wants to actually talk, go for it. So I don't do that very often. But I would talk about my week. I would interact and engage interactively, not forcing everybody to watch all of the monologues. Yeah. There might be more in this one here. This is my rotten desk. I've had that since I was very young. It's very important to me. I have so many things here. So many projects on the go. Oh, there's more crap. More YouTube crap. I was just talking and talking for days. I don't know if I process while I talk on paper. I don't know if I remember better when it's on paper. But it looks like we just found more YouTube crap, so that's going to go in the binder too. I don't even know if it's anything Yeah. YouTube self-analysis, psych, motivation, compulsion, drive, self-expressions. Maybe my primary overshare theory is that I'm mimicking my mom's social expression in depth, deep integration. The way my mom talked was a lot like this. It's like storytelling, and I don't know, it might be actually Canadian. But yes. Yeah, no, I talk a lot the way that my mom did, and I know that I do. But I think it's just unconscious. It's like a big part of who I am. Maybe number 2 core reason, perpetuating a loop of frustration compensation. I spent my life in study, reflection, self-education, and learning obsessively, and now I have no outlet to teach what I have learned that feels rewarding or balanced. As in a teacher or a student ratio, I feel like I think so much, and that I need an audience reception to match the level of intensity I have to share. Am I trying to share my emotional intensity and have my personal feelings witnessed? Or do I have a cognitive overload frustration that's so much information processing but no real way to convert my intellect into a career? Same with social intensity. I have connection groups that offer a platform for valuable social interchange, but I want less social media and emotional intelligence exchange and more career/financial stability/rewarding projects and ventures with lasting impacts and reach, not the interpersonal feelings of being rewarded or personally validated or liked or seen or as smart or gaining social approval, social image. Social image. I might want a stable public image or professional image that may offer more social advantages, such as even just rental applications. I can live and work anywhere if I'm LinkedIn relevant. So I need to address my overshare theories and my OCD urge drive theories, my emotional frustrations are an immature means of holding myself back from making societal contributions. That's kind of key. I'm going to put a big pink circle around that. Emotional frustrations, is a really immature thing. Like to operate from a place of emotional reactivity or emotional frustration, or to like have I can kind of understand urges because they're so often really unconscious. Like an urge can be so unnoticed, especially in the case of frustration. There's just such an intolerance that sometimes feels like an emotion, but just sometimes feels like a tension or discomfort. And urges can be hard to notice because urges sometimes just lead to actions and habits that it can be deeply engaging or deeply engrossing, right? Feelings are kind of easier to identify. Thoughts are easier to identify. You're like having a thought and you're like, oh, I'm having that thought. That thought is a thought I just had. And then when you feel an emotion, sometimes it's just, you don't know what it is. You just feel sad or good or bad. That's kind of when people haven't done any kind of basic cognitive behavioral therapy. They're just like, I don't feel good. I feel bad. That's usually when they send them to the therapist being like, you got to elaborate on that. Is it sadness? Is it anxiety? Is it anger? Do you feel fearful? Where do you feel it in your body? That's a learned development thing, but urges don't always feel like anything. Like I don't even have an OCD diagnosis, but starting to think maybe I should, especially since this keeps getting worse, almost sort of. Whenever I go on my ADD meds, things get better, but then they also start to get a little nuts. This is just like I'm starting the start of the wave because I was like on the higher dose of ADHD meds, Concerta, and then I went off of it, and then I went on the lower one, and then I'm back on the higher one. So this is like the first initial life is good part until it starts to not be, which is the habit for me with that. So right now, great time for a lot of processing, and that's why I'm doing this as much as I can. I'm just generating as much information as I can for later, and hopefully later I'll be able to interpret it. Societal versus social contributions, the difference between those. Skill update, research online resources to have a channel, successful content, what kind of content can I make, what's the best fit. Presentation has always been stagnant and too personal, showing me on camera, reading, facing my face, and my background. If I am reading AI, the presentation would need to be better. If it were OBS style with me in the bottom corner, content screen, share full screen, read the content out loud. If viewer can see the words instead of me, they read along. It feels like a PowerPoint presentation or a collaborative research engagement with considers and better accommodates the audience. Just get creative and have fun, I guess? Or what is the point? Like, what is the point of this? I don't want to have fun and be creative. Creative and fun is not really that age appropriate at this point. Creative and fun. Oh, okay. I'm getting too old for that. There needs to be a purpose or a mission underneath all of this. Purpose, mission, overarching goals. So what do I offer? Should be like an interactive engagement kind of situation. You quiet people in here. What do you want? What do you want out of my channel? What do you want out of channels in general? Do you want to chat? Do you want to offer suggestions and feedback, criticisms, points? Do you know what you want? Do I just need to take the lead and just be what I think people need? Because people don't know what they need. People have no idea what they need, do they? That's an interesting take. Huh. Just be a leader. Just do whatever. Just be you, boo. Lead. Yeah, I guess we could just like take charge of the content. Take charge of delivering the kind of content people need, want it or not. People don't know what they need or want. It's a little bit like there's an audacity to that, right? People don't know what they want. Because the machine is feeding them. Spoon feeding you guys. You guys think you want what you're fed because you're all consumers. We all are. So unless a human behind a screen says, actually, the things coming out of my mouth, then we won't, because we're going to be conformed by the system. And the system is going to tell us what we should and shouldn't be and what we should and shouldn't say. And yeah, we've all fallen for that. we keep clicking on digitized media that's like so far removed from what real is. Like if you're in a room with a person and talking to them, it looks like this. And that shouldn't feel like boredom, but it sure does. And it is boring. Not everybody wants to hang out with someone who talks about shit like I do. But this is the real human aspect. This is the community. This is the human element or the human level that used to be the only one that we had. I don't know how to talk fast like all those fucking influencers who become professionals at speaking as fast as they can. Everything tries to be faster and faster over time. Like, this is why I avoided the digital world like the plague, because I could see it wasn't organic really quick. When I was little, I was like, ew, that music sounds like shit. And then I just never listened to anything that was synthetic. I stayed far away from the synthetic because the synthetic is trying too hard to be loud and visible and obnoxious. It's like when I was a kid, my grandma would always like every time the commercials came on, she'd turn down the volume. And then when the program came on, she would turn the volume back up. And that's kind of like the attitude that I have towards anything digital, because I think that digital is just sound. It's so synthetic. It's so fake. And it's a manipulation of natural order to make things appeal to the dopamine. It's to like fry our brains with sound. I don't like things that are enhanced by the digital. And yet here we are in this day and age where it's taken over because things can't be slow anymore. Everything needs to be so fast for people that it needs to give them the biggest dopamine hit reward possible. So unless there's every color in the rainbow and every bit HD, high definition, AI generated imagery and lots of electronic dance music and lots of sound, and it's too much. And if people oversaturate themselves with oversaturated media, then when they get to like something quiet, like a tree or a rock, how are they supposed to appreciate the things that are so still? They can't appreciate the slow anymore. It's almost like it's a major commitment or a loss of time to give like 10 minutes to something when reels are now expected to be 20 seconds long. So everything. What's that faster move it something song? Technologic. That's an old song, guys. If I put this at the end of my song, my video will get taken down unless I appeal to, you guys know the song, right? Technologic. Who is that? This is old. I'm so old. Daft Punk. This is so old. This is like millennials are not complicated enough or something.
Buy it, use it, break it, fix it, trash it, change it, mail, upgrade it, chart it, point it, zoom it, press it, snap it, work it, quick erase it, write it, cut it, paste it, save it, load it, check it, quick rewrite it, plug it, play it, burn it, rip it, drag it,
our sense of time is getting warped.
Lock it, fill it, call it, find it, view it, code it, jump and lock it, surf it, scroll it, pose it, click it, cross it, crack it, switch, update it, name it, read it, tune it, print it, scan it, send it, fax, rename it, touch it, bring it, pay it, watch it, turn it, leave it, stop, format it. Technologic.
Remember, this was still terrorizing, right? Look, we're scaring ourselves. Scary robots.
Charge it, on it, zoom it, press it, snap it, work it, quick erase it, write it, get it, paste it, save it, load it, check it, quick rewrite it, plug it, play it, burn it, flip it, drag it, drop it, zip and zip it, touch it, bring it, pay it, watch it, turn it, leave it, stop, format it. Touch it, scroll it, close it, click it, cross it, crack it, switch, update it. Surf it, scroll it, close it, click it, cross it, crack it, switch, update it, name it, read it, tune it, print it, scan it, send it, fax, rename it, touch it, bring it, pay it, watch it, turn it, leave it, stop, format it, buy it, use it, break it, fix it, crash it, change it, mail, upgrade it, charge it, on it, zoom it, press it, snap it, work it, quick erase it, write it, get it, paste it, save it, load it, check it, rewrite it, plug it, play it, burn it, flip it, drag it, drop it, zip and zip it, surf it, scroll it, close it, click it, cross it, crack it, switch, update it, name it, read it, tune it, print it, scan it, send it, fax, rename it, touch it, bring it, pay it, watch it, turn it, leave it, stop, format it, buy it, use it, break it, fix it, trash it, change it, mail, upgrade it, charge it, on it, zoom it, press it, snap it, work it, quick erase it, write it, get it, paste it, save it, load it, check it, rewrite it, plug it, play it, burn it, rip it, drag it, drop it, zip and zip it, surf it, scroll it, close it, click it, cross it, crack it, switch, update it, name it, read it, tune it, print it, scan it, send it, fax, rename it. Technologic, 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 technologic.
That was weird.
Oh, wow. This is comfier than our actual couch.
No, you know what we didn't have back then? Fucking ads.
Oh,
We
hey,
did,
we were
but
just
like we called them commercials, and they didn't saturate our fucking lived moment of every. People are like, why don't you just get a paid subscription to YouTube? I don't live in that world. I don't pay for shit. Oh no, my that looks bad. Okay, looks fuzzy. We're gonna have to get another one. See if it gives me another option. See, this is the slop on my phone. Persephone, from victim to sovereign queen. See, this is what we click. This is what we click on now. This is what we want the world to be. Loving AI robot does exactly what experts wanted. What did the experts want? You're gay.
I'm sorry about the passing of your Nona. She seemed amazing. Marjorie?
She was amazing. She was so funny.
Tell me about her.
My favorite Nona story is Frankie coming out. So Frankie,
My brother is Frankie, and he is very gay. I don't know if you know. And he came out to us, and Nona was just trying to figure it out. She's very accepting, very loving, very celebratory, but she was just trying to figure it out because she couldn't believe it.
Okay.
So she goes, Frankie, have you seen a pair of breasts? And he was like, yeah, no, I've seen breasts, yeah. And she goes, didn't do anything for you. He was like, no. And she's like, well, you're gay. And that was like, yeah, I know. I'm sorry about the passing of your Nona. She seemed amazing. Marjorie,
why are we clicking on this?
So funny. Tell me about her.
I don't click on this. I don't want to click on any of this. This is ridiculous. This is a wasteland. I watched souls pick pain. CERN saw too much. CERN just detected 2 timelines, and the results were, who cares? This changes us. Before he died, the world's top Sumerian scholar revealed what? There's nothing here anymore. That's why I don't go on YouTube anymore. It's all become just like so refined that there's nothing left to refine further. The Gnosticism iceberg. Everything needs to be an iceberg now, right? Is there anything left to consider? Is there anything pattern that we haven't come up with yet? The Gnosticism is way weirder than you think, and it gets disturbing. It's popular lately. I've noticed that. Gnosticism's all over the internet like it's this brand new thing. And the archons and all that. Only you. What if you're the only real person in solipsism? Nothing here is new to me. I've seen it all by now. It's boring. It was a different universe. James Webb telescope found something that I don't care. There's nothing here left. Eugenics in the USA documentary. I might watch that. See, this is what it looks like when we're totally alone and we're like scrolling our media, but there's no like narrative of it. It's just between your mind and what you see on your screen and the normalcy of it. How often do we sit around with another person talking about how weird it is? I think we really do. We sort of zone out around each other and we engage in all the slop, but to like pause and look at it and like ask yourself, like, why is this so weird? This is bad. This is bad. You felt it. You felt it. Randomness doesn't exist. Physics proves it's all scripted. This is bad. Bad. This is bad. You felt it. Everyone leaves. Nervous system. Nervous system. Reset. Somatic. Nervous system. God, we are here. Dark farms. Human zoo. MIT explains possible endings. We are here. The machines have already won. Do they like it? Astral travel. Ladder technique 3 hours. You're in a simulation. Nobel Prize just given for proving the universe isn't real. We can't explain the missing 100,000 years. What humans did before civilization. The quantum law of being. Dreams are real? Question mark. Heroin. Gnostic Jesus. What the Gnostic Jesus taught is way more dangerous. See, this is like showing you guys bits from the past because this feels like it's real now. But 10 years from now, you'll go, what was that? What was that? Why were those people smiling? This is worse than a psychopath. 10 times more dangerous than a psychopath spot a dark triad. China, $64 billion backup plan. How China solved the Strait of Hormuz oil crisis 20 years before. Fermi paradox. Hecate, or Hecate. I don't know. I've always said Hecate. Older than Egypt. 12 ancient sites in Canada that still don't make sense. Older than Egypt? The world is in peril. AI is a massive problem. Here is why. How Banksy was doxxed. Doxxed. It's ridiculous. You're not dating, you're being hunted. Finally solved. 114 years later, everything we thought about Titanic was wrong. You can see them now. Mary taught this. Mary Magdalene taught how to see archons with the physical. Okay. You're actually safe. Most comforting scientific truths to fall asleep to. Female ADHD is traumatic. The dark truth about female ADHD, the invisible struggle. I just designed a quantum computer. Oh, that's great. The world is in chaos. What's really needed is someone to finally make sense of human seemingly mad behavior. The hard truth. Lesbian dating app. AI parasites. Something strange is happening. Oh, that guy again. Fuck. Documenting AGI species. This guy. This guy's videos are just a lot of fear-mongering clickbait stuff, but I've clicked. Some of them are good. A little goes a long way with no fees. This is about your hair. Star seeds. This is an urgent message about your hair. What? The fucked up thing is people make money doing this. We love you, but wake up. We love Americans, but not their leaders. New Lego video.
We see you through the smoke of what they call progress. We have watched from across the ocean, from behind their walls. And what we see is a people who deserve better than what rules them. This is not a war cry. This is a wake-up call. Open your eyes, brothers and sisters. The hands that wave your flag are not the hands that hold you. Listen. We love Americans. We love your soul. The land of dreamers, the brave, the bold. But something sits on top of you, dressed in your name, spending your children's blood like a game. We love Americans. Oh yes, we do.
But the ones who speak for you don't speak for you.
Wake up,
Before the morning's gone.
they built the cage so slow. You thought it was your home. Yeah, they hand you left and right like two halves of a lie. Different faces, different voices, same agenda inside. One wears a blue suit, one wears a red tie. But behind closed doors, they shake hands and divide. The taxes from your table fund the war you never chose. They name it liberation, but it's oil. Everyone knows they call us terrorists on the television screen. While the real terrorism wears a suit and gets a pension in a dream. They sell your children futures built on manufactured debt. Then send those very children off the wars they'll soon forget. And when the coffins come home, draped in stars and stripes, nobody on that podium is losing sleep at night. The media machine spins before the body hits the ground. A new enemy is needed every time the polls come down. We watched it from Tehran, from Kabul, from Baghdad too. The ones they demonize were people just like you. They said we hate your freedom, but your freedom is our dream. We read your constitution, we know what those words mean. It's the ones who wrote the speeches and then buried what they said, who turned that sacred document into a tool of dread.
We love Americans. We love your soul.
The land of dreamers,
The brave, the bold.
but something sits on top of you.
Dressed in your name, spending your children's blood like a game. We love Americans. Oh yes, we do. But the ones who speak for you
Don't speak for you. Wake up.
before the morning's gone.
They built the cage so slow. You thought it was your home. The billionaire who funds the law and writes the law himself. The pharmaceutical machine that keeps you sick for profit and for wealth. The school that teaches history with chapters torn away. So you never ask the question, who really made it this way? They gave you social media so you argue with your neighbor while they sign the deals in secret, taking everything you labored. Left versus right, black versus white. They need you divided because the united people's the only thing they've ever dreaded. They sanctioned us, they bombed us, they painted us as beasts. But the ordinary American was never at that feast. You were working double shifts while they were working diplomats. You were counting grocery bills while they were counting combat stats. We don't confuse the empire with the people that it rules. History is full of kings who turn their own into their tools. Your founding fathers warned you, yes, they wrote it clear. That power concentrated is the thing that you should fear. That foreign wars and secret deals and banks too big to name. Where the very seeds of tyranny dressed up in freedom's frame. And now we watch across the sea and wonder, do they know? Do the people of that nation see the curtain in the show? We've lost our brothers, lost our sisters, lost our skies to their machines. But we separate the people from the politics and schemes. Because hatred is their weapon, love is ours to wield. And truth is the only armor that will never crack or yield. So we sing this not in anger but in solidarity. That the people of the world want nothing more than to be free from the ones who take our names and use them for their wars.
We are not your enemies.
We're prisoners of the same cause.
We love Americans. We love your soul.
Land of dreamers,
The brave, the bold.
but something sits on top of you.
Dressed in your name, spending your children's blood like a game.
We love Americans. Oh yes, we do.
But the ones who speak for you
Don't speak for you. Wake up.
before the morning's gone.
They built the cage so slow. You thought it was your home. We do not celebrate your suffering. We mourn it the same way we mourn our own. Because your mother crying for a soldier is no different from my mother crying in the rubble. Pain does not have a passport, and the ones who cause it never feel it. So to every American reading a headline and feeling confused, to every citizen wondering why everything feels rigged,
You are not crazy.
you are not alone.
And from the other side of the wall they built between us,
We see you,
we hear you.
and we are standing here,
God as your enemy.
but it's proof
That the world.
that the world. We do not hate you, people of the West. We see you through the smoke of what they call progress. We have watched from across the ocean,
Is this on a loop?
behind their walls, and what we see is a people who deserve better than what rules them.
Half over?
This is not a war cry. This is a
Okay.
wake-up call. Open your eyes, brothers and sisters. The hands that wave your...
Right on. 10 signs you have traumatic intelligence, the rarest type of it. Do these people really feel rare at this point? Like, does anybody feel rare anymore? Everybody is the same, no matter what sense of difference that we can project. Remove narcissistic energy from your pelvic floor for good. Sacred.
Writing a book is hard.
I'm not writing a book.
Knowing if it's good, even harder.
I don't
Meet
know.
manuscript analysis.
Whatever. Release. What is happening? This is just an ASMR video? Okay, you know what? It worked. I think that I did release the narcissist from my pelvic floor, and it's gone now. Thanks. That worked. Thank you. I don't even need to watch it now. So it's that good. Your video was that amazing. Lilo and Stitch movie. Since childhood, she was marked. How to starve patriarchy. Why withdrawal works. Does it? Is it working? It doesn't really feel like patriarchy's gone. But sure. Psychedelics don't restore reality, they reveal how your brain. It's not the chips. Why Chinese AI is suddenly so good. It's not the chips. 8D immersive brainscape. Timu, everything must go super sale. If it really did all go for real, that would be good. The nature of reality, a dialogue between a Buddhist scholar. You're actually safe. I don't remember what it feels like to go on YouTube and to want to click. But I remember when I was younger, there was a time where I was like super, super curious. There's just nothing left to be curious about. Sucks. I don't know you. Anyone had experience? Schizophrenia, Kundalini awakening, and crown chakra opened. Cybersecurity diploma, art. A picture of a rat eating a heart-shaped miniature pancake. Do you need this? Of course you do. Do we? Do we need this? Do you need this? Do I need this? Does this rat need this? Does the person who posted this need us to need this? In one word, tell me what your heart feels today. No story, no reason, just one word. What does my heart feel today? What does my heart feel today? I don't know. How can I not answer that question? How does my heart feel today? I think it's empty. Yep. Empty. My heart is empty. Weird. Okay. I'm tired.